All right, hope you enjoyed that wild finish in Washington. Now we head to Regina as week number 13 will wrap up with a beauty, a big one between the Riders and the BC Lions, and Roy Simon facing his old team for the first time with a lot on the line. The Riders are hurting. BC comes in without Travis Lulay and all kinds of subplots as we say hello, everybody. Dave Randorf, Chris Schultz, Milt Stiegel, and Jock Climbing with Calgary losing last night. These two teams know the race is on in the West. It's a big game between two West Division rivals. First of 3 meetings, but the subplot is the guy you just saw there, Roy Simon, who is 6 catches away from becoming the CFL's all-time receptions leader. As you can see, only 3 guys in league history have 1,000 receptions, and Roy is about to pass the current leader, the former Montreal Alouettes, Ben Cahoon. And joining us now from his home just outside of Provo, Utah, in Cedar Hills, is Ben Cahoon. Ben, thanks for joining us. Great to see you again. Why don't we start by asking you what you're up to these days?
Well, it's great to be with you guys, too, and I miss Canada. I coached at BYU for 2 years, and about 3 or 4 months ago started a sales gig selling medical devices, so I'm in surgery in the operating room all day, every day, and it's crazy. It's a new chapter and adventure in my life, but I'm enjoying it and happy.
That's good stuff. Now, as you know, your receptions record is about to fall with Roy Simon, but you are still just one of 3 guys with 1,000 catches in CFL history, all from pro football's all-time leading passer in Anthony Calvillo.
He's the best. He deserves every accolade and all the records that he is accumulating, and he's a great guy, the consummate professional, and just a leader in every respect.
You know, Ben, it'll always be remembered as one of the great connections in CFL history, Calvillo to Cahoon. How do you think you helped each other to find that chemistry during games that we saw over and over again?
I caught the ball and he chucked the ball, so you know, it was just a mutually beneficial relationship. We had a level of trust that was not really discussed very much, but you know, just developed over the years, and that's what happens when you play with a guy for 13 years. It makes Roy Simon's accomplishment all the more impressive because he's had like 27 quarterbacks thrown to him.
That's a very good point, you know, and I know we've spoken prior to this interview. You have not had a chance to speak to Anthony directly yet, but is there some kind of message that you wanted to pass along now? I'm sure he'll see this at some point if he's not watching right now, and I know that you are extremely concerned about the concussion he's dealing with and his career questions.
But I have read about him and been concerned about him and inquired, you know, with a few friends that I have talked to up there. And, you know he'll overcome it like he has so many other challenges and obstacles in his career. And he's still got some football in him. So hopefully he's back this next week.
Ben, you were part of an Alouettes team that set the bar very high, and by those standards, the team is struggling a little bit. What do you make of the Owls this season? Well,
I know they've had a ton of injuries. It's always tough when you have a new coaching staff, and they've had some turmoil there that they've had to overcome. You know, there are great guys on that team, and they'll figure out a way to right the ship, and I expect them to have a nice little run the second half of the season.
Ben, it was great to catch up with you. I know fans watching here today really appreciate it. You are a fan favorite wherever you played across the country, and obviously especially in Montreal. We all want to wish you the best in the years to come.
Hey, thanks a lot, Dave. I appreciate the chance to talk to you and to say hi to all of my friends up there in Canada, and had a great run up there, so I appreciate everything.
If Roy does get it done today at Mosaic, he'll need 6 catches, more than he's ever caught in one game this season. Lions-Riders kickoff is right around the corner.
Weston Dressler.
That's my boy.
There's Rider Pride.
Proof that good things come in small packages.
He's slippery fast, man.
Doesn't back down from nothing. Get him to rock somehow, because good things are going to have CFL on TSN. You need to see these guys play.
Today on the CFL on TSN, the Lions emerged from week number 12 with a big win over the Alouettes, but they paid a very high price.
He's been shaken up. Yeah, he's hurt. Trouble.
Plus, Leroy Simon finally gets his chance to face his former team.
Once the game starts, it's all business.
Just 6 catches shy of the CFL record. Will this be another heroic day for Superman?
He says, remember me. 81 can still play. Give him the rock.
That's all on the CFL on TSN next. He is, quite arguably, the best player the BC Lions have ever had. But after 12 seasons, he now is a Rider, and he'll face his old team for the first time today in this big West Division clash.
Yes, Chris Garrett is filling in a tailback. He's got big shoes to fill, but you know what? He did some great things in Winnipeg, and we're expecting big things from him in Regina.
If you did a survey and asked the players who talks the most during the games, this man, Corey Banks, would win hands down. He would also win if you asked him who's the best defensive back. Yeah, he talks a lot, but he backs it up with his spectacular play.
Hey guys, this is Thomas DeMarco. This will be his first CFL start, 5'11", 200 from Old Dominion, which is in Virginia. Tell you the truth, I don't know a lot about it, but we're going to find out, man. Oh, man, this is the year of the new quarterback in the Canadian Football League.
You got that right. He will become the 5th guy this year to make his first career start, but the trend has been very good for the young guys. Hi, everybody. Dave Randorf, Chris Schultz, Milt Stiegel, Jock Climby, Buck Pierce, by the way. We're expecting to see him play for the Lions as well. It'll be his first action in almost a month. The BC Lions are not a good road team, 1-4, but the Riders have been an average 3-3 after that 5-0 start. This is a big one, Milt. So if the Riders were to lose a second straight home game, would Rider Nation become Panic Nation?
Yes, I think so. This would be 3 losses in a row against 3 young quarterbacks. All year long, all off-season long, this team was built to win the Grey Cup. And to win the Grey Cup, I think they need to have a home playoff game. They need to win this game and possibly tie back up with Calgary. It's going to be tough on them, Schultz.
No, not yet. These two teams play each other 3 times in the next 5 weeks. My message to these teams, you control your own destiny. All panic gets you is more panic, Dave.
We haven't seen much of DeMarco, Jocko. What's your take on him so far?
Yeah, no, he's a second-year guy, 15 career attempts, but so far so good in terms of the CFL rolling out these young guys, and we're expecting more of the same from him. You know, he reminds me a lot of Collaros, in fact. I mean, he's a little undersized, under 6 feet tall, but he's got real good feet and great poise, and that's what we saw last week. And I think that him and Collaros have Doug Flutie to thank for the opportunity to be able to play in this league, because they can't play down south necessarily because they're undersized. But in this league, he could fit in very nicely. I can't wait to watch this guy play.
Collaros, again, was outstanding as the Argos beat the Calgary Stampeders, which means the race is really on in the West. These guys know it. Everybody's ready. It's always a wild scene when the Riders play at home. Nora Kelt of North Vancouver, you could win the ultimate $25,000 home theater package from Visions Electronics if a kickoff is returned for a touchdown in today's game. Thanks to Safeway's Touchdown to Win promotion, and if a second kickoff is returned, you could win $1 million. The Saskatchewan Roughriders lost at home last week to the Argos. They're facing the Lions' first of 3 regular season head-to-heads coming up next.
It's a high-stakes Western showdown to wrap up Week 13 and the much-anticipated first meeting between Leroy Simon and his former club, the 7-4 Lions, against the 8-3 Saskatchewan Roughriders, and perhaps a prestigious CFL record will fall today.
He already has more receiving yards than any receiver in this league's history, and with 6 catches will pass Ben Cahoon today. If he can get 6, become the all-time leader in receptions.
Expecting a crowd of around 40,000 here on Military Appreciation Day in Saskatchewan. And a little concern in Rider Nation as this team has dropped their last 2. Mentioned high stakes. Roughriders can move back into a first-place tie today. Fly pass from the Hawks at CFB Moose Jaw. And with a win, the BC Lions could create a second-place tie as the Calgary Stampeders, a loss last night against Toronto, certainly adds to the intrigue of this game. McCallum kicks it off, and this one's going to bounce out of bounds. So an illegal kick to start things in good field position for the Roughriders to begin.
Legal kickoff out of bounds. BC number 4. By rule, it's placed on the 45-yard line. First down.
Murray Clark in charge. Darian Durant leads the Roughriders offense out. Our starters to watch are brought to you by Napa Auto Parts, where custom advice comes standard.
All eyes will be on G-Roy Simon. Can he get to 6 catches? Hasn't had a 6-catch game all season long, but 2 of the last 3, he's had 5 catches. Weston Dressler missed last week. He is back in the lineup. He will take the football a couple of times. Darian Durant, 24 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a few of them in the last 3 games.
And Chris Garrett in place of the injured Corey Sheets. And he'll take the handoff, and here's Garrett to face the Lions in his last game, the 2011 Grey Cup game. First carry is 6 yards for Chris Garrett.
Defensively against Chris Garrett, he's going to see Solomon Elamimian back in the lineup. Missed last week due to injury. He will get a chance to play alongside Adam Bighill. Ryan Phillips loves playing the Saskatchewan Roughriders. 15 of his 37 interceptions, almost 50% against the green and white.
2nd and 4 from the Roughrider 51, and a fumble. Some problems in that backfield as looked like Garrett grazed the football out of the hands of Darian Durant. And the Lions say they've got it, and they do.
Obviously not as much practice time for Darian Durant and Chris Garrett with Corey Sheets out of the lineup, and they just have a problem right at the mesh point where they're trying to run that play action fake. Darian Durant wanted to get outside and get on the roll here. It just hit the elbow of Chris Garrett. Hits the turf. And the Lions get the first turnover.
10 turnovers in the previous 2 weeks for the Roughriders, who had 7 games with 1 turnover or fewer in the opening half of the season. So Thomas DeMarco to work, and his first throw is a completion in the flat, and getting away, Ernest Jackson, who has his first catch of the year. Jackson into the lineup for just his 2nd game, replacing the injured Manny Arsenault.
Travis Lulay made the trip, but he is not going to even dress for this game. Thomas DeMarco gets the start. Nice throw right out of the gate. Get him into a bit of a rhythm early if they can, and he gets it out to newcomer Ernest Jackson, as you mentioned, playing for Arsenal.
16 for Jackson, and a first down for BC at the 30-yard line. DeMarco hit as he delivered. That's up for grabs, and it's brought down by Nick Moore. Well, that'll be the ugliest completion for Thomas DeMarco today. Took a big hit from John Chick.
The question I had coming in was, how would the Saskatchewan Roughriders defensively try and attack the young quarterback in his first start, and Thomas DeMarco? So far, not a lot of blitz in the first couple of downs, just regular pressure, but they got some from John Chick there.
It's an unorthodox 6-yard pickup. 2nd and 4. Andrew Harris swings out of the backfield. He has it, trying to get to the edge, and has the first down. He'll get dragged down by Carlos Thomas, who is in at the Sam linebacker spot in a late change here today.
There is Thomas DeMarco, first start in the Canadian Football League. We may see a little Buck Pierce over on that trade with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Courtney Taylor, leading receiver last week against Montreal with 5 for 117 yards in that game. Andrew Harris, 13 touches last game and giving the ball more of late.
First down BC, showing blitz, picked up, and DeMarco on a roll, and has a completion, and the receiver brought down. Courtney Taylor the catch. He'll be marked out at the 3-yard line. And 16 more for Thomas DeMarco on that completion.
That pickup you talked about was from Andrew Harris on the backside. I think it was Tyron Brackenridge that came down and was coming on a blitz. 33 comes down, cuts him out right there, and allows Thomas DeMarco to go around the edge and outside without anyone chasing him down from the backside. And he is in a bit of a rhythm right out of the gate.
First and goal. Jackson in motion, and they swing it to Jackson. And Carlos Thomas there, and a big hit by Dwight Anderson. It'll be a loss of 2.
Put the pressure on the young quarterback. Second down inside the 5. Now it's passing down with this play made by Dwight Anderson, who has been the topic of discussion for some of the wrong reasons over the last couple of weeks.
Brian Peters, E.J. Qualley check into the Riders defense as Qualley makes his first appearance at second and goal from the 5 for BC. Short drop into the end zone, incomplete. And no flags. Ernest Jackson looking for a call. He was tied up by Terrell Mays.
Well, Terrell Mays was on the coverage on the inside, and it was just a little slant route underneath from Jackson. See what kind of contact was made. He thought he got twisted. I think it's a good no call. He almost looked like Ernest Jackson gave up on the route as he got a little contact from Terrell Mays on that slant.
So a stop by the Riders defense, who had allowed 7 touchdowns in the last 7 trips to the red zone by their opponents, and McCallum puts it through from 12 yards out. Leroy Simon from the Roughriders offense will go back to work here in the opening quarter at Mosaic. Final game of week 13 and the first meeting for Leroy Simon against his old team. And after the fumble on the opening possession, Simon on the sidelines as they go double tight ends to start this drive. Darian Durant takes a look. He's got Dressler up at the 50-yard line. Weston Dressler with the catch. Cord Parks on the tackle.
Didn't waste much time getting Weston Dressler involved in the offense. Missed last week's game. He's just banged up from the early part of the season. Comes across on that dig route and picks up 16 yards in front of Cord Parks.
First down 51. Handoff to Garrett. And ahead for 2 to 3 yards for Chris Garrett.
Well, he's been used more of late. In the 2 of the last 3 games, Simon has had 5 catches, and he needs 6 in this game today to pass Ben Cahoon, become the all-time leader. Already leads in receiving yards. Only player in CFL history over the 100-year history of this game to have over 16,000 yards receiving, and with 6 catches today can pass Ben Cahoon,
which would be a Saskatchewan high for him. 3 times 5 catches in a game, and that pass incomplete. Nobody in the area. It looked like the intended target, Taj Smith, was leveled.
He looked like Solomon Elamimian stepped into him. He wanted a pass interference call. Lowest production of the season for Taj Smith last week with Darian Durant as his quarterback. Didn't have a big game in Hamilton when Drew Willie played, but you could see Solomon Elamimian stepped up in that crosser. The ball was in flight, but no flag.
Heard the gasp from the fans as they saw that replay on the big screen. Tim Brown with the return up to the 25-yard line. And young Thomas DeMarco gets set for his 2nd series here as a starter for the first time in the Canadian Football League. Thomas DeMarco is the 17th different starter in the Canadian Football League this year.
Yeah, we have put this graphic up a few times in our telecast to show you a new quarterback in the Canadian Football League, and just who is Thomas DeMarco. Played at Old Dominion, can pass the football with 51 touchdowns in college, but he can also run the football. You can see that 1,400 plus running as a quarterback's position.
Good start, 5 for 6, and a handoff inside for Andrew Harris. 41 yards for Thomas DeMarco on that opening drive.
Very impressive talking to him yesterday, and just how he knew he was really taking over the football team when he saw the injury to Travis Lulay last week in BC Place Stadium, and he felt like he wasn't sure what the diagnosis would become and what it would be, but he said it looked like he had to take control, and he did on a series against Montreal and earned them to start here this afternoon.
Hasn't played in a hostile environment quite like this as he looks at 2nd and 9. Good protection, taking a shot. Ernest Jackson can't bring it in. Working against Eddie Russ, who comes back into the lineup. A late game change for the Roughriders as Russ gets his 3rd start on the corner.
Ernest Jackson, that ball hit his hands in stride. Just want to see if he hesitated a little bit when he got out of his break, trying to fight off Eddie Russ. Eddie Russ will move to the corner. Carlos Thomas moves into Weldon Brown's spot. He was a late scratch an hour before kickoff.
Paul McCallum the boot. Wind not really a factor here on a beautiful day. Tristan Jackson had some trouble with that, and he'll get swarmed and taken down around the 40-yard line. Darian Durant at the controls, coming off 381 passing yards last week. A season high for him. Welcome back to Mosaic. On the sidelines, here's Lee Jones.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris. This is what was waiting for the BC Lions in their locker room when they arrived at Mosaic Stadium. It's Geroy Simon's sour cream and onion chips, super cream and onion chips. And, of course, they were making noise all the way down the hall. They absolutely loved it. Talked to Travis Lulay before the game, and, yeah, he admitted he definitely took a few of them with his left hand, of course. This is just one of the examples of the impact that Simon has made early on with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He's also coaching a team in Regina Minor Football and has done many initiatives with the community, something he feels is important. Guys?
Was a coach in Cloverdale as well, and missing the guys in BC that he's worked with for many years. J.R. LaRose taking over the coaching duties back in BC. Incomplete on that first pass of this series for Darian Durant.
At the time, the Cloverdale Bobcats, but I think their nickname has changed. But his son Jaden played, in fact, just turned 12 yesterday. So we talked with Geroy about his family life a little bit. A great ambassador of the Canadian Football League throughout his entire 15-year career.
And hello to Javon, who's watching from West Point as he anticipates a record-setting day for his dad. Durant underneath, and Taj Smith's got it. And Smith with a first down, and a heavy hit provided by Cord Parks at the end of the play. 12 yards for Taj Smith to midfield.
This has been Taj Smith's go-to route for Darian Durant. It's that crosser. He comes from one side of the field all the way. He's not too deep, only 7 to 10 yards deep. And if Durant can get enough time to get him across the formation, he usually opens up.
Dressler, Smith, and Getzlaff all over 600 yards receiving now. Fake to Garrett, and in and out of the hands. A pass behind Geroy Simon. Incomplete.
First attempt in his direction. Talking to some of his former teammates before the game, and I asked him about Corey Banks. I said, are you ready for a little bit of trash talk Corey Banks style? And Geroy Simon basically said, he laughed and said, you know, he was a teammate of mine for 7 years. I ignored him for 7 straight years. I can ignore him for one more day.
2nd and 10, 4 receivers wide side. Durant will look short side, and Taj Smith has the catch. And another first down at the 44-yard line.
And I'm sure Taj Smith on the short side. Geroy Simon went to the field this time, ran a route on Corey Banks, who stayed in that trail position, but Darian Durant had locked into the short side of the field, went right back to Taj Smith.
Simon and Rob Bagg to the sidelines. Double tight end formation. First down, Roughriders. Into the hands of Garrett. He'll get stopped behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, this is what everyone, I think, in Saskatchewan is wondering about with this Rider team, is what kind of offense will this look like without Corey Sheets in it. And Chris Garrett won the job over Jock Sanders, who was a late scratch here, as they made the decision right at the last minute between Sanders or former Winnipeg Blue Bomber Chris Garrett.
Josh Bell with the stop that forces a loss of 4. Second and long, and they will screen it. And here's Garrett with some blocking. And he is nailed at the 40-yard line. He'll be short of the first down. Josh Bell with back-to-back tackles on Chris Garrett.
I'll give Josh Bell some credit here. I mean, at 5'10", 177 pounds, does not shy away from the big hit. Chris Garrett was coming downhill, and he had good speed behind him and some blocking out in front. Number 6 shoots the gap. He knows he's got time. He takes that hit, turns Garrett sideways.
Corey Chamberlain electing not to attempt a 47-yarder. Ricky Schmidt looking for the corner. Took a little bit off it, and this will bounce down inside the 10. That will be a league-leading 9th inside the 10. Josh Bell does some early talking, and we'll show you his altercation with G-Roy before the game.
It's a long way to Neverland, and I'm dying to shoot him.
Well, reunion, G-Roy Simon and former teammates Marco Iannuzzi with greetings. This was funny. Josh Bell says, I'm working on my Superman pose.
Well, they may get matched up a little bit, as we've seen already here this afternoon. There's Wally Guano talking. That's a great picture right there. Jarius Jackson, Travis Lule, and Buck Pierce all in the top 5 when it comes to his receptions.
Lions backed up inside their 10, and the pass intended for Nick Moore incomplete. They'll be 2nd and 10 BC.
Take a look at some of the starters to watch for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Some late changes, but Mike McCullough is not a late change. He played last week in the middle at linebacker for Ray Williams, who will miss his 2nd straight game. Carlos Thomas was going to play at the wide side corner. Now he moves down a linebacker for Weldon Brown. Tyron Brackenridge has been forcing fumbles of late. He'll stay in the middle at safety. And he'll play Eddie Russ at the wide side corner.
Second and 10. DeMarco stands in, and the pass incomplete, intended for Sean Gore, and Eddie Russ was on the scene.
Corey Chamberlain's done a nice job all year of making sure that all his defensive backs are ready, and he's rotated them through in a lot of different positions. Diamond Ferry, a late scratch just before this game, and he was able to put Eddie Russ, and Eddie Russ has been tested early in the first 2 series. That slant down the goal line, that was Terrell Mays inside, but Eddie Russ had his man covered on the corner. And on this series, back-to-back plays, Eddie Russ was in position.
And back-to-back 2 and outs for the Lions on offense. Paul McCallum from his end zone, good boot, and Tristan Jackson takes it at midfield. And he'll get cut down at the 51-yard line, but terrific field position for the Roughriders. It's Keenan Parker with the special teams tackle for BC.
Corey Sheets was averaging 111 yards rushing per game. This team, Saskatchewan, over 150 as a team rushing per game. Now he's hurting out. Durant attempted 49 passes against the Toronto Argonauts. Now they were behind, had to come back. But what will this offense look like without Corey Sheets in it?
Well, without Sheets for the bulk of it last week, the 49 pass attempts, about 15 more than is usual for him in a game. He takes a shot for Getzlaff, who can't bring it in. Josh Bell in the trail position, and Getzlaff, who was the top Canadian last week, gets his number called for the first time. 5 catches, 133 yards, and 2 touchdowns against Toronto.
I think Josh Bell's a little fired up to maybe play against his former teammate in G-Roy Simon, and then whoever else may come out and go one-on-one with him. That time it was Getzlaff, who had 3 big catches over 30 yards last week in that game against Toronto. Josh Bell's ready to play today.
2nd and 10. Big Hill drops out, and the pass complete to Garrett, and Cord Parks steps up and makes the hit at the line of scrimmage. It'll be 3rd down. Cord Parks has been solid on the corner for the Lions this year.
Really a play that Darian Durant didn't have much choice. The Lions are going to drop everybody off. Pretty much great coverage down the field, so he has to dump it off and hope Chris Garrett can make a move and make one man miss in the open field. And Park said, not on my shift.
Roughriders with only 50 points in the first quarter this season. Schmidt with the high boot. Tim Brown at the 12-yard line. A flag comes down. Looks like the 15-yard, no yards against the Roughriders. So Schmidt unable to pin them this time.
Nice high kick.
No yards. Saskatchewan number 28. That penalty's declined. First down.
And the Lions will decline and take the return.
Greg Butler was in that 5-yard halo, but Tim Brown did better than the 15 yards on the return, up to the 31. Little breathing room for DeMarco trying to get his initial first down since the opening series.
Opening series went 4 for 5 and looked pretty good, but he's slowed since.
Hands it off to Andrew Harris, and short yardage up the middle. Thomas DeMarco at 5'10", did not get a look from NFL scouts. In fact, it took his 6th tryout at a Canadian Football League camp before Neil McAvoy and Wally Buono said, let's give this guy a longer look. It was an inclement day, rainy, high wind in Washington, D.C. And DeMarco was the only quarterback there that could get the ball to a receiver in the poor conditions. Now getting his first CFL start. Throws that one in and can't make a connection with Sean Gore. Dwight Anderson there defensively.
Another situation where the Lions are going to have to punt, but when you take a look at Thomas DeMarco's start to this game, that first series looked real good, completing some passes, and since then, I'm not sure it's on Thomas DeMarco, Chris. You take a look, he's putting the ball where he wants to. He's just not seeing a receiver in the core right now getting some separation. That secondary for the Saskatchewan Roughriders pretty tight.
McCallum a line drive boot. Tristan Jackson up to midfield and then hits a roadblock there. But the Roughriders enjoying good field position, still looking for their first points on the afternoon.
Good job.
Darian Durant climbs up the ladder in the all-time passing list. Next up, Kahari Jones.
There's some pretty good names there, and they will continue to get more interesting as he makes that climb. Some of those old guys remember how good Peter Lisk was in that aerial attack in Calgary. First down handoff to Garrett, and he kicks it outside and gets to the BC 50 for 5. Chris Garrett at that memorable Eastern final, getting Winnipeg to the Grey Cup in 2011 with 190 yards on the ground.
Was that probably that Eastern final, Chris, that is his offensive coordinator, George Cortez, right now in Saskatchewan, remembers that game. I'm sure he does. And that's why it doesn't look like the game plan has changed all that much.
Objectionable conduct. BC number 31. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Dante Morris will get some yards tacked on here after the fact. But it doesn't look like the game plan has altered all that much, that they're going to continue to involve that tailback, whoever it is. In this case, it's Chris Garrett, and pound him up in there and try and get some workable situations on second down.
Garrett 6 games, 576 yards in the regular season of 2011, and then tore an Achilles tendon. Durant scrambling around, and he'll get brought down. Kareem Smith. And it looks like that will be the 6th sack of the year for Smith, as they do mark it just behind the line of scrimmage.
Working on the tight end, that's widens the corner, and he was able to cut underneath there and still recovered it and make the play.
And he gets some attention at the bench. The sack leader for the Lions now was 6. 2nd and 11. Durant in trouble again, and he'll be brought down. This time, it's Big Eric Taylor getting home. So back-to-back sacks to snuff another drive for the Roughriders on the final play of the opening quarter. A quarter dominated by the defenses and back-to-back sacks for the Lions. No Lule Arsenault, or for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Corey Sheets, and the defense had the better of the first quarter.
Well, they really did. I'm not surprised. I mean, Thomas DeMarco, he has to find his way a little bit in his first start ever in hostile territory. A little bit more surprising on the Saskatchewan side offensively, because even though Corey Sheets is not in the game, Darian Durant still put the big yardage up through the air, and he hasn't done that yet.
No, they haven't, and it's interesting to see if Saskatchewan is going to have to restructure their offense without Corey Sheets, who's 31% of the offense this year.
Well, I know game plan-wise, at least what we saw in that first quarter, they're still trying to run the football. Now, how long will they stay with it is the question if they're not producing. Just 9 yards rushing, as you saw from those stats in the first quarter.
So again, a Rough Rider drive is halted around midfield. Schmidt kicking to Brown, who lets this one bounce into the end zone. And Brown will concede a single point, so Saskatchewan's on the board. On the opening play of the second quarter, it's a 66-yard single for Ricky Schmidt. Jacques Chapdelaine working with the new quarterback, and Buck Pierce is available, and the BC Lions made it no secret that they plan to use Pierce in the game today, although he has only had 6 practices with the BC offense, and it looks like he's going to start getting warm. And Buck's first ever breakthrough in the CFL was here at Mosaic in 2005. Right now, DeMarco at the controls. Rolling, and looks like he threw that one away. Nobody open once again.
Again, that's been the challenge here for Thomas DeMarco. You know, he's had some time to throw. I think the accuracy on his throws have been pretty good so far. He just cannot seem to get a receiver open. And credit the Saskatchewan defensive secondary so far. A late minute change to throw Eddie Russ into the lineup, and yet it really hasn't caused a problem. They've been in step for step with these Lion receivers.
Started 5'5". He's missed on his last 6. Here comes pressure. Stands in and takes a huge hit. Carlos Thomas, the strong side linebacker, gets home.
Carlos Thomas times this perfectly. He sits there, waits a split second, then waits for the blocking to be declared and shoots the gap between tackle and the blocking fullback Rolly Lumbala, and is through clean to DeMarco.
Delayed blitz, and Thomas has his first sack of the year, 4th consecutive 2-and-out for BC. Tristan Jackson from his 38. Little room down the sidelines, taken out at the 47-yard line. Rough Riders trying to get their offense going with their prime target, Chris Getzlaff. Our sack tallies brought to you by Purolator, tackling hunger across Canada. Check.
Carlos Thomas registered a sack for Saskatchewan. Eric Taylor for the BC Lions got home once.
Rough Riders have the football at the 47. And this has been the average start for Saskatchewan so far in the game. Underneath, the pass is caught by the running back. Garrett taken down by Adam Bighill.
When it came to this decision for Corey Chamberlain as to which running back to go with, really believe that part of that had to be the fact that Chris Garrett, you know, at just shy of 200 pounds, is probably better suited in pass protection than Jock Sanders. There's a lot of things Sanders can do out of the backfield. You get him in space. But Garrett, protection being paramount for Saskatchewan Roughriders in the passing game, Garrett can provide some protection help.
Had a couple of big games back in 2011, aside from the Eastern Final. 159 yards against Toronto, 131 against Hamilton, but the Lions had an answer for him in the Grey Cup game.
Yes.
8 carries, 26 yards.
Only time he's ever faced the BC Lions in his career. That Grey Cup game and here this afternoon.
Well, you see the Riders are just short, so it's second down. Short yardage team is in, and Drew Willie under center. And a push for the first down behind Dominic Picard and the left guard, Brendan Labatt.
Got about 8 carries in the last week's game. Corey Sheets on a unbelievable roll to start the season at 1,222 yards, and then came to a screeching halt when he came off the field early in that game against Toronto.
We can't stand here. You need to move.
Just 4 rushes for 8 yards last week for Sheets before suffering a sprained knee. Durant back in, first down. Fakes to Garrett on a roll. There's Taj Smith, and it's broken up. Josh Bell has had a terrific first half for the Lions.
Boy, is he ever. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's run support or in the pass game. Josh Bell's been all over the field. He's been matched up on Taj Smith for the most part when they move that wide receiver position into the slot. Taj Smith goes one-on-one again with Josh Bell, and Bell has made every play when he's been called. He steps up and makes the play. Nice knockdown there. Just closed quickly with the ball in the air.
Second and 10 from the BC 52. Elimimian on the blitz. He's picked up. Pass to Garrett in the flat, and he's not going anywhere. Dante Marsh there to take Garrett out at the line of scrimmage.
Dante Marsh made the tackle, and his teammate Corey Banks is doing all the talking about the tackle. You heard Dave Randorf talk about it before the game started at the panel. He said that maybe one of the best trash talkers in the game is Dante Marsh, now, or excuse me, Corey Banks, but he can back it up. So big tackle by Marsh. He got up, turned around, and then here comes Corey Banks. He did all the talking.
Ricky Schmidt kicking it to Tim Brown. And Brown, a little room up the sidelines. So BC back to work. Lee Jones with more on Thomas DeMarco when we come back to Mosaic. Thomas DeMarco looking for his first down since the opening drive, with more on the young line quarterback. Here again, Lee Jones.
Thanks a lot, Chris. Yeah, pretty tough place to have his first ever CFL start. But he said even when he was on the sidelines as a third stringer, he loved the atmosphere at Mosaic Stadium, saying it reminded him of his college in Old Dominion. Also asked Travis Lulay before the game how he would do. Lulay said he's a kid that has overcome so much after being injured in his senior year and believed he would get the job done. Guys?
Flag down, and they play halted here. G. Simon also gave him a good review yesterday. Said he'll enjoy a lot of success in the league starting next week.
Yeah, and in fact, Thomas DeMarco threw a pass to G. Simon. We talk about his totals. It was his first completion as a BC Lion for DeMarco, and low throw to G. Simon. He pulled off the top of his shoelace, and he said, it was a great catch, and I knew I was throwing to a veteran at that moment against the Calgary Stampeders.
Patrick Kabongo moved prematurely, so it's now 1st and 15, and he's got to deal with the noise. Short drop, and there's a completion out to Sean Gore, who gets to the 25-yard line.
Interesting, though, talking to DeMarco yesterday, you got the sense that he was ready to take on this opportunity and this chance. And, you know, he's like every quarterback through the system, through Wally Buono and Mike Benavides. He's been tested at different stages of his career, whether it be that camp you talked about, preseason, training camp story from Mike Benavides in a second when it comes to Thomas DeMarco.
2nd and 3. And they'll swing it to Harris out of the backfield, and he'll get stopped. E.J. Qualley makes his first play for the Roughriders on defense. and forces another punting situation for BC.
Yeah, he was added to the roster because of the changes when Diamond Ferry was a late scratch and Weldon Brown a late scratch. Jero Kowali was added and thought he'd play mostly on special teams, but subs in defensively there and makes a big play on Andrew Harris.
5 consecutive 2-and-outs for the Lions now. Tristan Jackson awaits the McCallum boot at the 46-yard line. He'll cross midfield and get bumped out. At the 51-yard line, a flag down. We'll sort it out when we come back.
Very physical game between these two teams right now, and Stu Ford is going to get blindsided here from Greg Newman. And is still down on the turf here. They're going to bring in the stretcher just to be careful with him.
Of course, Stu, a former Rough Rider, and
absolutely,
each time he comes back, he is focus of attention. Did some media interviews yesterday. A special team guy who we saw as a running back at times for the Rough Riders. And Mike Benavides makes the walk across to check up on his special teamer.
And you could see the Saskatchewan training staff didn't hesitate either. Right along their bench there, ran out to help make sure they got him stabilized.
Was a penalty on the play. It was unrelated to that hit. Spencer Moore called for an illegal block that brings it back to the 45. But right now the concern for number 25, Stu Ford. And you can see the concern being shown on the field by teammates and by the Rough Riders.
This is the top of your screen. Looks like Stu Ford hit the turf with his head as well when he went down.
Now tempers start to flare a bit. Corey Banks has words for the Rider bench. As the medical staff very cautious, taking their time getting Ford onto the stretcher. Well, they get Stu up onto the cart. We'll take a brief timeout. A little bit of movement from Stu Ford. We saw a few of the teammates and former teammates go over and have a word with Stu Ford, and it's a good sign to see the movement.
Yeah, moving his hand and turning side to side. They didn't stabilize his neck. To move entire upper body, that's all good signs, and they're just stabilizing the leg, the right leg there.
And so the leg gets twisted at the end of that play, so not only was he knocked cold apparently, but a leg injury as well. And a lot of friends for Stu Ford here at Mosaic.
Getting a standing O from a lot of the crowd here right below our location.
former Regina junior. So now back to action, and Darian Durant comes up throwing. And a completion to Getzlaf up at the 54-yard line.
A little tough for the players to shake that off.
Yep.
They're concerned for their teammate, and you kind of reminded of the reality of the game and that it is a physical sport. Takes a few plays just to sort of settle back in as both teams try and sort of gain their composure, and Durant throws a strike right out of the gate.
9 yards for Getzlaf, 2nd and 1. Hand off to Garrett. He'll cross midfield and get the first down. At the line, 50.
Nice run for Garrett as he shows that vision, quick feet. You wonder about his Achilles. I mean, that's a serious injury, especially for a running back. He hasn't shown any signs that it's still bothering him. He hasn't shown any limp, anything like that. Still got that acceleration.
Simon in motion, hits the line on the run. Durant gets hit, looking for Taj Smith, but that ball dropped. J.R. LaRose can't make the catch. As Darian Durant was rocked by Eric Taylor, and the interception drought for J.R. LaRose continues.
Well, he is just snake bit on this, because I'm not sure he'll ever get an easier opportunity than this one right here. Eric Taylor has provided some pressure already this afternoon. He's been in the backfield a few times, and a huge hit on Durant as he throws. That one's just flopping around up there in the air, and it was almost like running under a punt for J.R. LaRose. Still couldn't hang on.
That's why he doesn't return punts. 2nd and 10. Durant swings it out. Garrett surrounded, not going anywhere. Good contained by Dante Marsh. Adam Big Hill cleans up, and again the Roughriders are not able to put first downs together.
Darian Durant against Toronto threw for 369 yards. And I mentioned that interception touchdown ratio off the top, 24-5, which is outstanding. 24 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, but those 5 interceptions have happened in the last few games.
Schmidt, another big boot, and Tim Brown will let that sail into the end zone. And Ricky Schmidt has his 2nd single of this first half. And now it's a 1-point game and a change at quarterback. Buck Pierce is back, and he'll lead the offense out on this series.
Yeah, again, I'm not sure that this offense for BC is stalled because of Thomas DeMarco's play. I think, he's been pretty accurate with the football. Let's see if Buck Pierce can get anything created, maybe start to move the pocket around a little bit and get outside. But Mike Benavides did tell us yesterday that we would see Buck Pierce, even if DeMarco was playing well and moving the team. They wanted him to watch from the sideline for at least a couple of series, and probably would put him back in the game.
They tell us Buck's been taking 40 to 45% of the reps since he arrived. He'll toss it to Tim Brown, and Brown finds some room off the right side on a first down run as Brown takes the spot of Andrew Harris, and Lions trying to establish something on the ground.
From a game point standpoint, Chris, a game plan standpoint, I think, I'm a little surprised that the BC Lions don't go more to the run. First of all, you got young quarterback in Thomas DeMarco, an experienced one, but a guy new to the system in Buck Pierce.
And Buck on target here has a completion to Sean Gore, so quickly back-to-back first downs for the BC Lions with a familiar face at the controls.
But when you consider that you've got Buck at the controls, yes, in a limited play package, just new to the team, and a linebacking core for Saskatchewan without Ray Williams in the middle, a change at the other linebacker, Carlos Thomas, a DB playing down there, and Craig Butler, who's also a DB. No surprise we're not seeing more run from BC.
Andrew Harris back in. He takes the handoff straight ahead, and Ricky Foley among the green and white there on the scene. Mike McCullough, that middle linebacker too.
Conversation with Buck yesterday was interesting, and I got about 2 questions into our talk, and I asked him, I said, you know, you just seem like you have a whole lot of weight off your shoulders. He said, well, you know, it feels like I'm coming home. He said, I love my time in Winnipeg. I don't ever think any different, but it just feels like I'm coming home. Familiar faces everywhere.
2nd and 8. Here they come. Pierce got it away, but incomplete, and a flag down, a late hit. It's Brian Peters with the hit on Pierce that will extend the drive.
Major foul, roughing the passer. Saskatchewan number 27. 15-yard penalty. First down.
Well, it's been a talk of the town all week long. The hit from Tyrone Brackenridge on Chad Cackert against Toronto. He was fined for that. Now the blitz is going to come here, and it will be Peters. Brian Peters comes up and steps into Buck Pierce. Now it looked like to me his head was on the back of the shoulder pads of Pierce. Not sure if he made helmet-to-helmet contact. From that angle, tough to tell.
Lions have been going a lot of no huddle here, trying to get Saskatchewan off balance on defense. The Roughriders do a lot of changes after each play, and good first down production there.
Let's take a look and see if there was roughing the passer because it was a late hit on Buck Pierce, or if it was a helmet-to-helmet hit, the unnecessary roughness version. That one pretty close.
7 for Andrew Harris. 2nd and 3. Back into the hands of the tailback, and he gets stuffed around the 20-yard line. Let's see what forward progress they give him. Andrew was 68 yards rushing last week, which was 1 yard more than the previous 3 weeks, as the Lions' run game has not been as effective of late.
Well, he wasn't getting the touches. As far as the run game goes, he wasn't getting the touches. But 13 carries last week.
This will require a measurement. It's like they're going to be 3rd and less than a yard. And as you can see, the rushing yards for Jacques Chapdelaine have dried up in the last month.
Back to over 100 yards as a team last week, Chris, again, but the team that you think of Andrew Harris's 100-yard rushing games. He's got 3 of them, but all of them were in the first 5 weeks of the season.
Averaged 80 yards first 5 weeks, averaged 41 since then per game. Thomas DeMarco in for the short yardage situation with Lumbala and Harris in behind. And it is DeMarco gets stood up, but forward progress should be enough.
Number 16, Thomas DeMarco.
They're going to measure this. That's how close it is. It only looked like he needed an inch where the down marker was placed. He would have had to have lost yards to not have got this first down.
If they got to the 20, they should have the first down, and
yeah, I don't think there's any
they
question.
did get to the 20. So 4 first downs on the drive.
You talk about running the football. Craig Butler, just shy of 200. He's about 195 pounds at linebacker. Carlos Thomas, both the same. Test those guys. That's what you're BC Lions. You want to test those guys, see if they can run stop.
Going to get a challenge on the spot. Something we see occasionally and rarely. Is it effective? But Corey Chamberlain wants to have the officials take another look.
You know, I've talked to coaches about this, and it's almost impossible to overturn this type of challenge because you just can't see the ball and have the perspective of where the first down marker is.
Saskatchewan is challenging the spot of the ball on the play. We'll review it.
And we can take a few more looks, and you decide at home while you're sitting on the couch, can you get perspective as to where the first down marker is, where forward progress stops? I mean, it looks like the ball went across that white stripe.
In a reverse angle, and again, if he gets to the 20, gets lost in the mosh pit that time. But
well, and even if the spot of the football here, Chris, is short, I mean, can the BC Lions challenge and see from that perspective whether or not there was any more forward progress made? And we're talking inches now, not yards. I mean, it's
after review. The spot of the ball is confirmed. First down, BC.
It's almost always confirmed. And you can see the ball, and it's just past that line. But again, that's not enough evidence to turn anything one way or the other. Sometimes the coaches have told me, though, they challenge it just to let their team know that they got to challenge it because they believe they stopped it.
Lions threatening first down at the Roughrider 20-yard line. Pierce on a roll, and the pass is incomplete. Intended for Courtney Taylor.
Terrell Mays made a nice play there, too, on that break. Saw Buck Pierce on the roll, close quickly. Terrell Mays and right now Josh Bell both playing great at halfback.
And as you've mentioned, not much separation being created by the Lion receivers.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Thomas DeMarco had that same issue, throwing to covered guys.
Second and 10. Here they come. Pierce can't find anybody, and he's dropped. Back at the 25. Ricky Foley, the former Lion. 5th sack of the year for Foley.
See him in that 4-point stance, 2 hands down on the ground, get a good takeoff. Now I think he goes past here on Ben Archibald, and then he's going to come back. Buck Pierce tries to step up into the pocket, doesn't like what he sees down the field, does not want to turn it over in scoring territory, so he'll take the sack.
So McCallum on from 32 yards out. Right down the middle for Paul McCallum. And it's 6-2 BC. Mike Benavides' offense settling for a couple of field goals after trips to the red zone.
And for Saskatchewan offensively, just as we move into this 3-minute warning, I'm sure the talk at halftime for them will be first down production. And just to update you, we came into the game talking a lot about G-Roy Simon. He's been rotating in and out of the lineup offensively when they go to their tight end set. Does not have a catch in this first half. And Darian Durant, 1 attempt in his direction. So both offenses struggling against good defensive performances in this first half.
Roughriders had scored 122 second quarter points. That's the most points in a quarter by any team in any quarter this year, but held to 2 so far in this game. That pass for Taj Smith up at the 40-yard line. It's a pickup of 5 as we hit the 3-minute warning in a defensive battle at Mosaic. This is Our League is brought to you by Nissan, and on Friday, the annual Plaza of Honor dinner here in Saskatchewan, honoring greats from Roughriders past, including Eddie Davis, who was here from 2001 to 2009, 15-year CFL veteran, and Gene Makowski, 17 years a Saskatchewan Roughrider, both members of the 2007 Grey Cup champions.
Oh, absolutely. You think about those guys added to the display in front of Mosaic Stadium.
Great names, great service, including a guy to my right in 98, Kent Austin, and the latest inductees.
Very deserving. I mean, Gene Makowski, I think of Gene Makowski and Roger Aldag as the 2 guys. There's been a lot of great offensive linemen to play for this franchise, but those 2 guys set the bar. And Eddie Davis, man, he was a coach on the field.
2nd and 5 for the Roughriders, and Ty Smith has another catch and a Saskatchewan first down. 4 catches for Smith in the game. Came into this game as the number 10 receiver in the CFL.
Well, both teams just concerned about the pressure their quarterbacks have been under early on in this game. I'm going to the quick game. Quick slants to Taj Smith. We've seen a couple of crossers, shallow crossers from him.
Durant double pump and a completion. G-Roy Simon has catch number 10-13 and is tracked down from behind by Dante Marsh.
First one. 5 to go for the CFL record. And chalk up this first one this afternoon on a curl route in that number 2 spot to the short side of the field, and watch the professional and G-Roy's take a step back to the football and just in front of Solomon Elamimian.
14 for Simon. First down, Roughriders. And into the hands of Getzlaff, and he's dropped at the 40. 8 more as the Roughriders start to get some traction on offense.
Quick game, quick passing game. Darian Durant working with, he's actually didn't like the call that came from the sideline there by that reaction. I was going to say he's working on his passing hand. He's got some issues with his baby finger.
4 for 4 on the drive. 2nd and 2, 2.5. Then he'll step up and take off for the first down. Darian Durant scrambles out of bounds and has the first down. Didn't run much against Toronto after 93 yards rushing in a game against Winnipeg.
He was not happy with that last call and didn't really hesitate to run with the football to get the first down. So we'll see what George Cortez sends out on the speaker to him in his helmet this time. No problem on that call, and you can see the wrap on his baby finger as he gets ready to take this shotgun snap. Continues to adjust it. Took every rep, though, in practice.
Has a record of 6 and 7 lifetime against the Lions. A lot of time. Looking for Getzlaff and almost picked off. Knocked down by Cord Parks. Josh Bell was there.
You know, this is a small thing, but when Chris Garrett goes the wrong way, and Durant's showing a little frustration right now because Garrett's going to go the wrong way on this play action fake here. And you can't blame him. He's new to the team, and you can see Durant, it turns around. Now, it shouldn't really affect it that much, but if it's off a little bit, if the timing's off a little, and he hesitates coming out of that because the back goes the wrong direction, maybe the pass is off a little bit.
2nd and 10, 7th play of the drive. At the 33, flag down, looks like a free play, ball batted at the line and falls incomplete, and Durant's cadence looked like it got the Lions to jump.
Yeah, great call. That's exactly what happened. He held that cadence a little bit, gave him one more hut, and it looked like Solomon Elamimian jumped into the neutral
Offside.
zone.
BC number 56. 5-yard penalty. Repeat 2nd
The
in.
drive. At the 33, flag down, looks like a free play, ball batted at the line.
A long hut.
So 2nd and 5. At the 28, Simon back in the offense. And he'll waggle to the wide side. Flag down, there might have been offside. And Rob Bagg can't bring this down. This time it looked like Saskatchewan was offside, but we'll wait for Murray Clark's call.
Offside. Saskatchewan number 89. That penalty's declined. 3rd down.
So Getzlaff ahead of the snap. Penalty declined, and the field goal unit will come on with Chris Milo, 30 of 31 on the year.
Was on a roll there, 28 straight till he hit the upright, which tied a record for Saskatchewan Roughriders, held by Dave Ridgway.
1-3-1-9.
Dressler to hold at the 35. And Milo has one hit the upright just like a week ago when his streak ended at 28. So they come up empty. Minute and 1 second remaining, and then it's GMC live at the half. Check in with the guys. They'll have coin toss. as we review Week 13 in the Canadian Football League. After this, we'll get into the final third. First of 3 between these two teams. 3 meetings in the next 5 weeks that will go a long way to decide home field playoff spots. Here's Ernest Jackson, the hitch, and that's not going very far. Again, Terrell Mays there defensively.
Been the 2 best players. Terrell Mays has been the best player for Saskatchewan in this first half, and the other side, Josh Bell for the BC Lions, the best player in their team. Both these offenses trying to get going. Richie Hall has done a nice job of rotating players through different positions so that when they get their opportunity, no matter if they're halfback or a corner or even playing safety, they can do it.
Richie Hall and Rich Stubler are a lot happier about this half than George Cortez and Jacques Chapdelaine.
The chess match continues.
2nd and 10, pressure, Butler gets there, and down goes Pierce. Craig Butler with his 3rd sack of the year.
It looks like some hesitation here, too, from the Lions in their protection schemes. I mean, it wasn't like Craig Butler here was disguising anything. He came up to the line of scrimmage, lined up like he was blitzing and actually blitzed. And Ernest Jackson ran his route, didn't protect there. Not sure if that was his responsibility or not, but the confusion and the hesitation for this BC Lion offensive line and receivers that are trying to help them pick up blitzes, it just seems like they're a step behind right now.
Riders use a timeout to stop the clock, and Kristen Jackson awaiting at midfield, so the Roughriders have a chance to close the gap, perhaps take the lead before the half. McCallum kick bouncing around here around midfield, and Iraqi will help take Jackson out with a half-minute left for Darian Durant.
Lots of time. I mean, you got 4 or 5 plays here in 30 seconds. Run them efficiently. And the Riders take over the BC Lions half of center field. So plenty of time to put at least a field goal attempt on the board here.
3 300-yard games in his last 4 starts, but working against the #1 pass defense in the CFL, and
yeah,
the yards have come grudgingly so far. Four-man rush. He stands in, and the catch is made. Giroux has his 2nd of the game, number 10-14.
Boy, he had to go down and get this one. 2nd catch of the game, same spot for Giroux Simon, the short side of the field. Number 2 receiver is going to go down and work against a zone played by the BC Lions. He finds that soft spot, doesn't have to run full speed and run into the next guy.
Now Durant dumps it off, and Garrett can't make the catch. 12 seconds left. 2nd and 10.
2 late catches for Giroux Simon. Needed 6 to break the record held right now by Ben Cahoon, who we had in an interview in the pregame show. Darian Durant hasn't tested Ryan Phillips to the wide side of the BC secondary.
Probably with good reason.
Yes. Almost half of Ryan Phillips' 37 career picks, 41% against Saskatchewan.
2nd and 10. Durant in some trouble here. Gets him away. Garrett down the lane. Rail. He's got it. Chris Garrett. Touchdown.
Knew he could block. And we've seen him have big games running the ball. I'm not sure anyone knew that Chris Garrett could catch the ball out of the backfield this well. He gets the matchup one-on-one on Adam Bighill, and he's got a half step on him. Well, that's a receiver-like catch for a touchdown.
37-yard play with 2 seconds left on the clock. And now Mike Benavides wants to challenge. Scoring plays have to be looked at, and we'll wait for confirmation
I think that's what Mike Benavides is saying, Chris, is that all scoring plays are reviewed anyway, and maybe it was reviewed so quickly that they didn't have to stop play at all.
Well, we are told that they did look at it. It has been confirmed. It's the first touchdown reception for Chris Garrett, and that's the first lead of the game for the Roughriders. So the insurance policy pays a dividend here as Chris Garrett for Corey Sheets with a big play here late in the first half.
Well, it's been tough slugging running the football for Garrett so far in this game. That may change in the second half, who knows, but when you see him come out of the backfield there, he's going to get right to the sideline, and the presence of mind of Durant to avoid the sack, step up in the pocket with his eyes downfield. By the time that play developed, Chris Garrett had run basically a wheel route. The push to the flat, turned it up. Big Hill thought he was out of bounds, but he's going to come this way and then turn it up when Darian Durant steps up in the pocket. And that's, first of all, great reaction by a newcomer to the offense to break off his route, turn up and go deep, because that is the scramble rules. All the short routes turn deep, all the deep routes come back to the quarterback. He had the rule correct, and what a catch down the field.
I think Big Hill was arguing he didn't survive contact, but it is a touchdown. And the Roughriders will have the lead as Rolly Lambala gets taken down at the 40 on the final play of the opening half. And defense dominated until there was 2 seconds remaining. And through 30 minutes here at Mosaic in this big Western showdown, it's 9-6 Saskatchewan. Here's Dave Randorf.
Yes, indeed, Chris, along with the coach, Paul Police, and the GMC Coaches Playbook. I was planning to ask you, Lapo, about Chris Garrett, a guy you know from your days in Winnipeg, and I was going to say about how he hadn't done anything up until right there. Remember the last time we saw it? Well, you remember, 190 yards rushing in the East Final in 2011. Why don't you tell Rider fans a little bit about what they should know about this guy, seeing as he might be in there for a while?
Yeah, he's a talented young kid. He's made a couple of mental errors, and I always used to call Chris a high rep guy because he had to, you had to give him a lot of repetitions to see what he can do. But then once he gets in his rhythm, he's gonna really be a powerful runner. He's got a great lower center of gravity. He's got the ability to make you miss in space. You see right here, he makes a beautiful catch here. We were trying to get him some catches in 2011 as the season went on because he did have some good hands. But the thing he's a powerful runner with a low center of gravity.
Well, we know he can run. Does that catch surprise you?
No, we were trying to use him in the catch. He had a lot of screen passes for us. It's a downfield throw, which is harder for the tailbacks to make.
All right, speaking of getting into rhythm, the Lions offense has not been able to do that. Somewhat predictable when you start a guy like Thomas DeMarco, first start, tough place to get your first start. What are some of the challenges that you face as a coach with game plan with a young quarterback?
I used to know it being on the side of the Riders and then being an opponent in there. The first thing you got to handle is the noise, and DeMarco's got to work through this. The lineman got to help him. Patrick Gabongo gets an offsides penalty early in the game to put him in back. But here's another mistake that happened in the game. Here's what happens. You've got Lambalas need to work out to the defensive end. He makes a mistake and goes inside with his lineman, leaves the end free. A huge mistake here. I'm not sure why he made that, but look what has to happen now. Now the tailback has to recover and take his man. So now Lambala's trying to help out. Then here comes Carlos Thomas. The Will linebacker's now blitzing that gap. Who's got him? The tailback who's blocking Lambala's guy. So you can't make mistakes like this and have problems in communication in a place like Regina.
And as a result, there's only one touchdown on the board. It just happened. Saskatchewan with a 3-point lead. That is the GMC Coaches Playbook with Paul Police as defense is ruling the day so far. Hard-hitting affair. Both teams with a couple of sacks. 3-point Rider lead. Back with the boys, Chris Schultz and Milt Stiegel and Jock Climbey. Boys, time for the Week 13 Coin toss. Coin toss number 1 has to do with what turned out to be a very good game between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Edmonton Eskimos. Bombers thought they had this thing won at home, but they lost in overtime to the Eskimos, who mounted a late comeback, and it all came down to one play. Here's a look. It was 3rd and 10. They needed this or the game was over. This essentially forced overtime. It's a tip ball that ends in the hands of Freddie Stamps. Tim Burke not impressed.
3rd and 10. Ball's thrown down the field. A veteran guy would have knocked the ball down.
And the veteran guy clearly there was Damon Washington. So, coin toss number 1. Do you agree with the head coach calling out Washington? Maybe not directly, but everybody can see his number in the post-game press conference. Heads, yes. Tails, no. Jock.
Yeah, I'm going tails, and not for necessarily the fact that the coach called the player out. I think there's times for that if it's done professionally. The problem I have with Tim Burke saying that, I think he's wrong. I've seen many veterans try to intercept balls at the end of a football game on 3rd down and have it go through their hands. Many veterans. The other thing is, I actually think it would be just as hard to try to knock this ball down as it would be to catch it. It was hard and behind him. So yeah, I'm going tails.
I'm saying no also, tails. I agree with Tim Burke. Yeah, he definitely should have knocked the ball down, but that's not the way you go about it. This is a teaching point. He can pull him aside after the game and say, son, you need to knock the ball down next time. You don't need to call him out that in front of everybody. So definitely have to say tails.
You know, I'm going to agree with the coach calling the player out because I do understand his frustration, and there's no category for understand, so I'm going to have to say agree. This is a football team that's immensely frustrated. Tim Burke was blowing off steam.
Schultze, this here is the CFL rulebook. As we know, it's a wonderful and somewhat mysterious document. It's full of little gems, little secrets. If you know this thing, you can take advantage in the Canadian Football League. So coin toss number 2 is, what is the better use of the CFL rulebook? A couple of weeks ago, Winnipeg and Edmonton, again at Commonwealth. Snap gets away from Max Hall. Odell Willis kicks it forward to try to gain possession here, and they ultimately did. Or, how about this game Saturday night? This is the last play of the game. Calgary needs a touchdown. They throw it to Jabari Arthur. Arthur kicks it into the end zone. Marquay McDaniel hustling after it, and he almost got there. Toronto recovered it. It turns out Marquay McDaniel was offside anyway, but brilliant execution on an all-or-nothing play. What's the better use of the rule book, heads or tails? Schultze.
I'm going to go with the Jabari Arthur play because that was premeditated. That was a coaching staff knew exactly the options they had within that moment. It was well executed. If the player was just onside just a little bit more, they would have turned that into game-winning points. That was a very, very well executed, fundamentally sound play.
I agree with you, Schultze. That was very well played. And Jabari Arthur did a great job. It was just unfortunate. Marquay McDaniel, he wasn't on signs to begin with, so he didn't get to the ball. But I like that play. I always wanted to do that play, Job. Never got a chance to do it.
But the play didn't work. How can you say that's the better play when it didn't work? You got to go with the play that did work. Odell Willis, that was a brilliant heads-up play to move the ball down. If he's not interfered with by Max Hall, I'm saying he's going to score a touchdown. That was a great play.
That's not what you were saying Saturday night when the Calgary Stampeders almost pulled their hat.
I like the effort.
Okay, but not the ultimate execution. Got it. Okay. Coin toss number 3. This is a coin toss we never really thought we would ask, but I'm going to ask it right now. The expansion draft allows teams to protect one quarterback. Last time they did it, it was 2. This time it's 1. Who do the Argos protect? The veteran, Ricky Ray, with an expensive contract extension through 2015, or the 25-year-old Zach Collaros, who continues to impress. Saturday night, passing for 330 yards and 4 touchdowns. The guy's 4-1 as a starter, 3-0 on the road. Heads or tails? Jock.
Yeah, I think it's a legitimate question to ask at this time, but a little premature. Ricky Ray's only 33 years old. He's having the best season of his career, 134 quarterback efficiency before he got hurt. He's got 3 to 5 years left in him, so I'd still protect Ricky Ray.
Yeah, I'm protecting Ricky Ray, but if Zach Collaros keeps playing like he is, things may change, but right now you got to protect Ricky Ray.
You know, it's really interesting because Zach Collaros, he is the master in terms of making these spontaneous plays, but Ricky Ray is the exact opposite. He is the master of premeditated plays. Given those 2 options, I'll take the premeditated plays every time, Ricky Ray.
And that is coin toss. The Riders with a 3-point lead. G-Roy Simon with 2 receptions. He is 4 away from setting a CFL receptions record. Welcome back. Last game of week number 13. It is 9-6 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders over the BC Lions as you check out the halftime numbers there. And as we've been telling you, a very defensive-oriented battle so far. Here is Geroy Simon trying to get to that record. He just spoke with Lee Jones.
Geroy, not a lot of room out there with this Lions secondary. What are they doing that's not allowing you to get many catches?
They're just dropping a lot of guys. I mean, they're dropping a lot of guys and they're getting pressure. We had a couple mix-ups on our protection, but we're starting to shore it up, and now we're finding the holes. I mean, the thing is, when they're dropping guys, you just got to find the holes, and I think, obviously, I knew where to find them. We just got to have the protection to get it.
How have the emotions been for you facing old teammates?
They've been good. I mean, honestly, since the game started, I'm not really worried about it. They're another opponent. I'm just out here playing.
Thanks for this, Geroy.
Thank you.
Meantime, Geroy's old teammates, that is Travis Lulay talking to Buck Pierce, trying to muster up their second road win of the season, down by 3.
3-point Rough Rider lead as we get set for the second half. But first, Lee Jones on the sidelines with Josh Bell.
Josh, you've been able to contain this Riders offense most of the first half. What can you carry over in the second half help you in the game?
We just got to keep taking that enthusiasm. Our D-line is getting a great job, good pressure on Durant, and we just in the back end, we just got to keep coming up. We got to come up with the ball for our D-line right now because they've been doing a great job up front, and keep that enthusiasm. Fourth quarter's about to come, and we're going to win the fourth quarter, and that's going to make the difference in the game.
Thanks for this.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
One of the stars of that first half, what was dominated by defense. And a little controversy at the end. A lot of talk during the intermission about Chris Garrett's touchdown catch and whether or not it should have survived the review.
Well, we were CSI Regina here in the booth at halftime going over that play about 100 times and got a ruling and from the league a confirmation that it was a catch and touchdown, but it was close.
Ricky Schmidt to kick it off, and Tim Brown did a good job of bringing that in. It almost handcuffed him. And he's up to the 28-yard line and brought down there. Tristan Black with the special team tackle.
Took a look at it again. Quickly text a message to Tom Higgins, the head of the officiating crews here, and just to see, did he have to survive contact with the ground on the touchdown to end the half there? Because that's what we normally hear and see, is that when a player dives. But according to Tom Higgins in the league office, the catch was made outside the goal line. The ball crossed the plane before he hits the ground. The ground is then no longer part of the process, part of the decision.
Thomas DeMarco starts the second half for the Lions. It's an incompletion on the opening play, as the Lions' average start has been about the 28-yard line in this game. Mike Benavides told us he'd go back and forth with DeMarco, and that is the case as DeMarco gets a fresh start here in the second half. Second and 10. Here comes pressure, and Andrew Harris drops it.
Lions had something there. They had something because they had Jermaine McIlvain work all the way around to the wide side of the field and leave the short side of the defensive line. So he comes from over here all the way around this side. And when he does that, he opens up even more running room for Andrew Harris. Look, 98 vacate there along with Ricky Foley, and Harris had some inside running room. Just did not hang on.
So a 2-and-out to open the second half, the 7th of the game, and a line drive by McCallum that will skip out of bounds just beyond midfield. So a short punt by the former Rough Rider kicker, Paul McCallum, and it's just 29 yards.
Good field position for Saskatchewan. Geroy Simon coming in, needed 6 catches this afternoon to pass Ben Cahoon. He got 2 in the first half. Took a while. One attempt to him early in the game that was incomplete. That was the second, a completion on a crossing route. He hit another dig across the middle just before the end of the first half. So now 4 and counting for Geroy Simon.
Simon in motion. The hitch goes to Taj Smith. Simon is blocking, and Dante Marsh, the short side corner, wrestles Smith down at the 49-yard line. Well, make it the 50.
A couple of things here. One is that Geroy Simon's been asked to block a lot in this offense this year, whether it be protection for Durant or in this case a little screen to Tosh Smith, gets a little block on Dante Marsh. But the other part of that play is the progression is the fake hitch to Tosh Smith and Geroy Simon on a deeper route.
7 for Smith. 2nd and 3. Into the hands of Weston Dressler for a catch at the 45-yard line and a first down. Interesting listening to Geroy Simon talk about the chemistry that Durant and Dressler have that's been built over the last number of years.
It's about trust, and that's the word that kept coming up, and that takes time to build the trust.
45-yard line, and another catch made for Dressler, back to back. And Dressler getting helped up.
And, you know, Geroy's in the conversation with us yesterday was talking about that trust. Says he feels pretty good. 2 of the last 3 games, he's had 5 catches. He wants to get to that point where Dressler is with Darian Durant as quickly as he possibly can, so Durant will trust him. He only needs a half step, he says. Durant's got to let it go if he sees me a half step ahead.
First down, hand off to Garrett, and off the edge came Corey Banks to negate that play.
Made a nice catch last week, and Geroy Simon made that one-hander last week. He said he thinks that may help in building that trust with Durant. He said it's coming, it's getting there, but it takes time. It's not about Durant ignoring him or anything else. He just knows, because of working so many reps with Dressler over the last few years, that he puts it out there knowing Dressler is exactly going to be where he needs him to be.
2nd and 9. Durant from the pocket, crosser, and it's complete to Geroy Simon as number 10-15.
This is what Simon was talking about, and the trust. Geroy does not separate from his man very much. He's working on Josh Bell. Josh Bell is a half step behind Geroy Simon. In fact, almost gets there. And that's what he's saying. All he needs is a half step. If it's a half step, throw the ball, get to it.
So 3 catches in the game, 2 away from tying Ben Cahoon, 3 away from the all-time mark. And here's Garrett. Good run, slicing down inside the 15 for Chris Garrett. And Simon checks back into the offense.
Two to tie. It would be a touchdown throw to get him within 1 to tie.
You're on. 7th play of the drive. 2nd and 3, Saskatchewan. And movement pre-snap.
Little pre-snap movement, but they had a rub route down at the short side of the field with Tosh Smith and Geroy Simon. Looked like he was the primary target. Little play action and get the ball to Simon. Tosh Smith had run off.
Offside. BC number 95. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So the Cajuns gets Chris Wilson to jump offside. Back in his 2nd game since his return from the NFL. And now 1st and goal. Roughriders' first trip to the red zone on the day. And the pitch is to Garrett. And Garrett will be dropped right at the line of scrimmage. Dante Marsh comes up to make the play.
Tough to run that play against Dante Marsh. Short side sweep. When Dante Marsh has made as many tackles as Marsh has made in his career. Well over 500 tackles. And maybe the best short side corner when it comes to cutting this play down in a hurry.
And a guy that told me a couple of years ago he was the best short side corner is the quarterback that he's facing, Darian Durant. Plenty of respect for number 31. 2nd and goal. Lynn J. Shell in the game, blitzing, And the pass for Dressler's caught, but it will go for a loss. Josh Bell there again. And the Lions defense stands.
Well, he is pumped up. Josh Bell with another big play. And it was the same play that the one called back for the offside on Chris Wilson that Durant goes back to it. This time, Geroy Simon is the blocker. He went downfield to try and set up the screen for Dressler, but they closed so quickly. They had no chance to develop.
So Milo, who had one go off the upright in the opening half from 15 yards out, puts this one through. And now it's a 6-point Rough Rider lead. Oh, Josh Bell playing like Superman. He's even got the pose. Tim Brown's back. The Lions a 1-4 road record. Last 3 years they've finished above 500 away from BC Place Stadium, 5-4. Work cut out for them to duplicate that this year. Here comes Brown with some blocking, but a flag. As Tim Brown shakes through across the 40-yard line, but likely coming back. Thomas DeMarco will lead the offense out. We'll be right back to Mosaic. 12-6 Rough Riders. Keenan Parker called for an illegal block. So the ball is back at the Lion 14.
Thomas DeMarco back in the huddle.
You know, he was a good running quarterback in college. We haven't seen much of that today. We do see two backs behind him, Tim Brown and Andrew Harris in the backfield. And it will be Brown and nothing doing.
It's a good point you make, though, Chris. We showed you his bio from his time at Old Dominion, and he did have close to 1,500 yards rushing, and he's got to take the ball 1 or 2 times in this play, because if he continues to hand it off, he will not be respected around the edge. So sometimes on the riding side, you've got to decide to keep it. To keep the defensive end honest, you got to keep it and keep it outside. He hasn't done it yet.
Second and 12. DeMarco the throw, and it's complete, and a first down up at the 30. Good tough catch by Ernest Jackson.
Ernest Jackson, as a scout team player, will have a little more chemistry with Thomas DeMarco, who up until just a week ago, number 2 on the depth chart. So they would have worked together in practice. He's been the number 1 target.
Big second down conversion, 18 for Jackson. And now quickly in the hands of Sean Gore. And Gore will have a first down, back-to-back. First downs for the Lions up across the 40.
Love Thomas DeMarco right there, wanting to play as quickly as he can get it, so he can get up on the line and try and call the line of scrimmage and keep this rhythm. Get a couple completions in a row. He wants to keep the momentum going. Talking to himself, as he told us yesterday in the walkthrough. Likes to talk through the scenarios out loud to himself.
Calls it crazy talk, but not crazy if it works. Now they'll pitch it to Brown, and he's got big blocking ahead of him by Olafioye. Got tripped up, but still should have. Well, they're going to mark him short of the 50. Will be close to a first down.
Great. It was a great discussion. He said in college, he would talk about the scenario. Okay, I can't give up a sack because it's this situation in the game. And he would say it out loud. And his coach came over and said, you got that crazy talk going again? He laughed. He said, yeah, but it helps me stay focused. So with the BC Lions backed up inside their own end, inside their own 20, he was probably doing that crazy talk coming out of there saying, okay, we got to get some positive yards, get in a roll, get in a rhythm, and get some first downs, keep our defense on the sideline.
Even last week he comes in with the lead and had to talk his way into feeling an urgency, a sense of urgency, drove down for a clinching touchdown against the Alouettes to make sure there was no last-minute Montreal comeback.
A little crazy talk, he's got him out of the hole.
And the fans here at Mosaic might drive him crazy too. Second and inches, and you wonder, go for the first down or look for a big play. What? Some Patrick Kabongo, the big guy, leaned a little early.
He got that upper body leaning over the front hand and couldn't stop the momentum.
He came up a little agitated, and you wonder if somebody called out a snap count on the
BC number 68.
Roughrider side.
5-yard penalty. Remains second down.
Don't want to get that guy mad.
Watch the lean. You'll just see him fall forward. He's falling. Here come. You get that much momentum moving forward, you're not stopping it.
Looked like he was curling up and trying to hide, but tough to hide 360 pounds.
No shot.
So it's 2nd and 5, and that pass is complete.
What a throw.
DeMarco on the money, and Courtney Taylor has the catch.
Our producer, John Hines, and I were walking along the field in warm-up, watching Thomas DeMarco warm up, and just by warm-up we could tell who was starting quarterback because he was throwing with such intensity and the accuracy of his throws in warm-up. I thought, this guy is tuned in. He's ready to play this game. This is an example of how it carries over. That ball's put in a tight window and he got it there.
Does have a strong arm. In fact, his strength is getting the ball to the receiver in a hurry, and when he came in last week there was a couple of drops because the ball was arriving so quickly, and you can see that Carlos Thomas, the corner, has been shaken up on the last play, so we'll get some adjustments in the Saskatchewan defense. And while they work on Carlos Thomas on the far side of the field, we'll step out and take a timeout. So Carlos Thomas to the bench, the strong side linebacker for
Move Brackenridge down to linebacker to replace Carlos Thomas, who's playing for Weldon Brown, and break Greg Newman out to play free safety.
So an ever-changing Rough Rider defense has to make more alterations. Lions drive began at their own 14-yard line. This the 7th play from the Rough Rider 43. And DeMarco's going to take a shot for Nick Moore. Got it! Moore, touchdown! 43-yard strike. Thomas DeMarco to Nick Moore.
Lots of changes. Eddie Russ had started the game inside at corner. He went inside to halfback, got the matchup here on Nick Moore, and back-to-back throws from Thomas DeMarco. The best two of his young career were the one you saw on the sideline, the previous throw, and that one right there to Nick Moore.
Second touchdown pass of DeMarco's career, the second touchdown catch of the season for Nick Moore. And you mentioned scout team, and he did mention he's had a little more time throwing the football to Nick Moore and Ernest Jackson in the last year or so. Extra point puts the Lions back in front. It's 13-12 as Nick Moore celebrates the 43-yard touchdown from Thomas DeMarco.
I was wondering why Eddie Russ right here was playing such hard inside position. You can see it on the replay. Newman, the new safety, had moved over to the weak side of the field, so there's really no help in the middle. When there's no help in the middle from the safety, Eddie Russ now has to take inside shade, and when he does that, he opens up the corner route to Nick Moore. He has to take away the inside. It's the easier throw, and Nick Moore beats him to the corner.
The 96-yard touchdown drive for the Lions. Tristan Jackson on the kick return for the Rough Riders.
Design play by the safety. That's not Newman leaving the middle. That's Newman going to his assignment. And when he leaves, now he leaves Eddie Russ. He's got to take away the inside hard, the post. He's got to take away that. He opens up the corner. Perfect throw outside because he wasn't in bad position on the outside shoulder there. But that throw by Thomas DeMarco, not able to defend that throw.
43-yard play for Moore matches his season longest. See how Darian Durant responds. Quickly to Taj Smith, and he is upended at the 45-yard line. Still going, but he was down by contact. Smith's going to give the fans something to cheer about, but they're marking it at the 45.
And going to, if there was any kind of review or anything, I'm sure Todd Smith is saying, I'm going to go right to the end zone, so they'll say, okay, it was a touchdown. But let's see, was he down by contact? Contact made there. It was an extended continuation, wasn't it? But he doesn't survive it.
Hips down.
Yeah. Correct call. Doesn't survive it.
So it's an 8-yard gain. And 2nd and 2. And a little trouble. Ball down. Durant tied up. And do the Lions have it? Yes, they do. Second-year man, Jabbar Westerman's got it. That's the second fumble. Given up by the Roughriders in the game.
Remember that first half where I showed you the running back situation with Chris Garrett and the fact that at times he had gone the wrong way, or Durant and he were having troubles with even play action fakes. And did Durant take a peek there to look back to find where Garrett was, and took his eye off the shotgun snap just for a second.
Second fumble recovery of the year for the second-year Canadian defensive tackle. Here's DeMarco. And it's Nick Moore. Look out. And Moore hit the deck. Flag down on a late hit, and Craig Newman's going to get called. The former Saskatchewan Hilltop is going to draw the major foul.
We'll take a look.
Major
Newman.
foul, roughing the passer. Saskatchewan number 42. 15 yards stay of the play. First down.
So the best BC field position start of the day is enhanced.
You're going to see Newman come in here late. Now the question you have to ask yourself is this: could he have veered off and avoided contact?
So 1st and 10. DeMarco looking for Sean Gore. Touchdown. Sean Gore in the end zone, and just like that, Thomas DeMarco has 2 touchdown passes here in the third quarter.
What a game plan by Mike Benavides to have Buck Pierce come in, let Thomas DeMarco watch from the sideline for a couple of series. Since his return, he has been on the money.
Sean Gore has his 7th touchdown catch of the year.
Great job. Well done.
20-yard strike from DeMarco. And the extra point is good. So the first fumble resulted in 3 for the Lions. This time it's a major score for BC off the Saskatchewan Roughrider turnover.
All the changes in the secondary are starting to affect this back end for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Tyron Brackenridge is right here. Now, when Gort comes up here, he's going to play this play. It looks like he's playing safety at first, and then remembers, I think, halfway through the play that he's not, that he's got to take that man. So Brackenridge now gets into the chase position on Sean Gore, and he's obviously 2-3 steps behind. He almost looked like he was playing it like he was safety, reading the quarterback first, then realized, wait a minute, I'm the Sam linebacker. I've got to take the number 3 receiver out, and then he starts chasing, but he's too late.
So this Lions offense, which had under 100 yards in the opening half, has 116 passing yards in the third quarter. Thomas DeMarco 6 for 8, 116, and a pair of touchdowns.
Of course, when I'm talking about that Sam, that's Tyron Brackenridge coming down to play the strong side linebacker. A little confusion back there. They got to settle things down defensively.
And a big kickoff here that gets by Prince Miller, bouncing in the end zone. And it won't go at the back, or will it? He's going to have to concede a single point. A perfect kickoff, and now it's a 9-point lead. So a 2-possession lead now for the visiting BC Lions.
Last couple of losses for Corey Chamberlain's crew. 10 turnovers turned into 27 points. And those turnovers of late have been a bit of an issue for them offensively. one early in the game. A fumble, and Durant having problem with that shotgun snap turned into a touchdown. So points off turnovers again, hurting Saskatchewan in this one so far.
So they'll start at the 35. Double tight end formation into the hands of Taj Smith. And close to 4, but not much more.
The other thing that the Riders haven't been able to do, and you got to credit Josh Bell on that back end for BC, is that they haven't been able to get anybody deep in behind coverage, try and stretch this a little bit. They got Weston Dressler back in the lineup. The way Josh Bell's been playing in that secondary, they just nothing behind Rich Stubler's defense at this point.
7th catch of the game for Taj Smith. 2nd and 6. And that pass is caught by Weston Dressler, and he's got a first down.
Sometimes you want to be patient. I'll take a look.
Yeah, Mike Benavides has
grabbed his challenge flag
quickly.
quickly.
The flag in a hurry.
He had a great view of it. He was standing right in front of Dressler when he made that catch, but no challenge flag from the BC bench.
Take a look. Well, they elect not to challenge. They get the snap away. That one batted up in the air and will fall incomplete. Big Eric Taylor gets his mid on the football.
Unsung hero for BC so far after 3 quarters. A couple of pressures early in the first quarter. I believe he's registered at least 1 sack in this game already. And again, more pressure. He's just hard to handle it, whether it be Dominic McCart or maybe their best offensive lineman for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Brendan Labatt.
2nd and 10, and they empty it out. Chris Garrett lines up as a wide out. Here comes the heat. Durant gets away. Still looking downfield, and now a pass is incomplete. Cord Parks separated Rob Bagg from the football.
That was solid. That was little plastic pop in there. Shoulder pads, crossing route, and Durant tried to thread the needle. You could hear that one all the way up to the booth, and that's quieted this crowd in a big way.
Ricky Schmidt with the boot as Brown backpedaling inside the 10. And Tim Brown doesn't get very far. Taken down at the 12-yard line. Let's check in with Lee Jones.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chris. Here with a couple players that everyone recognized. They're enshrined into the Plaza of Honor on Friday night here in Regina. We'll start with defensive back Eddie Davis, of course, who played 9 seasons with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And Eddie, maybe talk a little bit about, you met with the team after the rundown yesterday. What was the message you passed to them?
The biggest message was that those couple of losses don't really mean anything right now. They just have to be hot near the end of the season. I think they can get back on track even today. Those guys are playing good football. They just don't get their heads down and keep playing hard.
All right, Gene Mikowski, quickly, we know you're in MLA with the Saskatchewan party, so you're in politics, but you also coach minor football as well. Is there any chance we might see you in pro football as a coach?
Oh, I don't know. I got young kids right now, and those coaches put a lot of time in during the season and the off season. So I'm happy with what I'm doing right now. You never know what the future may hold, but I'm enjoying it with my sons right now.
All right, thanks for this, guys. 2 great careers, and enjoy the rest of the game.
Congratulations to Eddie Davis, Gene Mikowski.
2 terrific football players. Corey Chamberlain might call Eddie Davis's number the way things are going in that secondary. 2nd down for DeMarco, over the middle and incomplete. Wanted Nick Moore, but Terrell Mays, who's had a good day, was there to break it up.
Yeah, and played a couple different spots too, so he has answered the call when they've gone towards him. He's been there. Looked like the Riders just going to play straight man there and try and send pressure. When they had pressure early on against Thomas DeMarco, it was successful in the first half.
So McCallum to boot it away. Should be the final play of the 3rd quarter. Good kick. Backpedals Tristan Jackson inside his 40 and now trying to get to the edge. Jackson across midfield. It's still going. And finally hauled down by Adam Bighill. Tristan Jackson with a big special team play to end the third quarter. A tough one for the Roughriders, but Jackson sets up Saskatchewan for the fourth. Thomas DeMarco with a pair of touchdown passes. McMoore and Sean Gore, 21-12 after 3 quarters at Mosaic. Here are the numbers through 45 minutes in this crucial Western showdown.
Well, the strategy for Mike Benavides has paid off because he said going in that he would play Buck Pierce to let Thomas DeMarco watch from the sideline. When he did that and DeMarco came back in the third, he threw for 123 yards and a couple of touchdowns, and he looked like that helped to settle him down. Great strategy.
The biggest difference right now, those 10 points off turnovers, but we should reinforce how big this game really is.
Well, amazing, because it's the first game of a 3-game set for these two teams. Number one, if the Saskatchewan Roughriders win this game, of course, they tie with Calgary, who lost yesterday for first in the division. If BC wins this game, they are now tied with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and home field. The fight for home field in the playoffs continues, so huge game for both these teams.
And home field so important with the teams as evenly matched as they are. Calgary, Saskatchewan, and BC. Riders start with good field position. Rob Bagg, and he's not going to get away again. A catch at the 35, his first catch of the game, and it's a pickup of 3.
Tristan Jackson gave him nice field position with a good return to wrap up the last play of the third quarter. Bounces outside containment there and still has the speed. In the good old days, and Tristan Jackson chipping in on the special teams. Now can they take advantage of that return with some points?
Third time the Roughriders have started on the Lions side of half in this game. 2nd and 7, quick hitter. And the catch is made, and Geroy Simon now 10-16. One away from tying Ben Cahoon.
Got just shy of the first down marker. And he saw Josh Bell drop off, but knew from inside out that Adam Bighill was bearing down quickly. They're going to have to kick a field goal. Corey Chamberlain's not in a gambling mood with about, well, it's almost 2 yards.
Well, again, it is after the single point, a 2-score game, and a field goal will get them back within a touchdown of the lead.
No question, the correct call here in my mind. You just take the points.
So Chris Milo from 37 out. And again, that's 3 times in 2 weeks. He couldn't do that if he was trying, could he? Well, he just did.
Wow.
And it remains a 2-score lead. So Chris Milo was 30 of 31 coming in and has missed today, hit the upright twice from 35 and 37. Otherwise, 3 points would be the difference in the game. Instead, it's 21-12 BC. Andrew Harris hasn't been able to really find much.
Really is remarkable, Chris, that you think about hitting the upright. First of all, it's almost impossible to hit the upright, even if you're trying to. And when you hit the upright, it's a dead ball and no points are scored, so there's no single either. I mean, even if he missed those 2 field goals and got 2 singles out of it, you're looking at a 1-possession game, a 7-point game.
34 attempts this year, 3 misses, and all have been off the upright, which is unheard of. 2nd and 9 for the Lions. Here comes pressure. DeMarco. And the ball is dropped. Marco Iannuzzi took a peek with Dwight Anderson in the vicinity.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. Took his eyes off the football to look at 33 bearing down on him and thought, that's all it takes. Ball's on its way. Breaking on it as a defensive back. Dwight Anderson coming hard towards that sideline, bearing down on him. He takes his eyes off the ball, peeks up, and that's all it takes to drop it.
So after back-to-back touchdowns, back-to-back 2-and-outs, 9 in the game for the Lions. Tristan Jackson, another good return up over the 45 to the 48. Geroy Simon is 1 catch away from tying Ben Cahoon on the all-time list. He goes back to work on offense when we return.
wreck my plans, baby, you can't.
There's time in Montreal. I know there's a lot of people cheering. I'm one of them, cheering for Mark Trestman and Chicago Bears this year. Nice 2-0 start, and great story with him and G-Roy Simon. All the talk about him closing in on Ben Cahoon's record.
First down, Roughriders. Darian Durant looked like he was looking for Simon. He's got him. G-Roy Simon has tied Ben Cahoon at 10-17.
Great question you gave G-Roy Simon, Chris, yesterday in our discussion. Is there anyone that, when you broke the yardage record, that sent you a note or said hi? And he said, yeah, Mark Trestman wrote me a handwritten letter. G-Roy Simon ties the record. He wants everything to quiet down now, though, so he can continue with the drive.
Fans were on their feet, a standing ovation, and the offense wants to quiet the crowd so they can call the next play. First down in Lion territory, and there's a pass, gets left, gets away, and just tripped up, or he had a lane to the end zone. It's another Saskatchewan first down at the 35. Fans want to celebrate the record tying play, but the Roughriders say we've got business to take care of here.
Well, and that's typical G-Roy Simon. It's the milestone to tie the record, but more importantly, he's got a drive to complete here.
First down. Simon stays in the block. Durant in trouble. Drops the football. And I think the Lions know they're going to call it an incomplete pass. Eric Taylor arguing that that was a fumble. But the heat was on the quarterback once again.
Karan Williams from behind was the guy providing that heat. He moves back inside with Chris Wilson's addition. Here he comes from the backside. Just a little bit of forward movement, almost just from the wrist of Darian Durant. This will be a better angle.
Challenge flag has come out for BC. And although that doesn't look like a typical throwing motion, was that enough of a sidearm flick to get away with an incompletion?
Yeah, that's the question here. I mean, he's got his arm. It almost is from his wrist and his hand that he flicks it forward. Now, is that enough to rule that that was a forward passing motion?
On the field of an incomplete pass. We'll review the play.
And we should note that Karan Williams was making contact and pulling the arm at the time.
If in fact Durant is flicking the wrist to create an incompletion, that's a dangerous play, because you leave it in the hands of the official now in the command center to determine whether or not that's a fumble or an incompletion. Well, we're being told that although it looked like the Lions had a good shot at the ball, that Devin Tyler may have come up with the football to save it for Saskatchewan, so they might just be debating about whether or not this is a loss and a sack. And it is good hustle by Devin Tyler to make sure it's going to be Rough Rider football regardless.
The quarterback had possession of the ball. As the arm was going forward, the ball went forward.
That was
enough.
Pass
is incomplete. Second down.
So that was enough. The arm, the wrist, Darian Durant's hand moving forward was enough to show that throwing action. Incomplete pass.
So it'll be 2nd and 10.
And G-Roy Simon was right there. It was behind the line of scrimmage, but he was right there, so there was a receiver close enough.
They'll reset, and now Simon goes in motion to the wide far side of the field. There's a pass, and it's dropped. Dante Marsh dropped what would have been the 29th career interception for the veteran, and that's a couple of bad drops for the Lions secondary in this game.
Well, Tosh Smith was working one-on-one on Dante Marsh, and Tosh Smith got up just upset that he thought he was interfered with, and Marsh got up, and now he's upset because he thought he had an interception and should have. It was right off his shoulder pad. Would have been his 29th career.
And he'll probably hear about that all next week. And Chris Milo comes on. Can't hit the upright again, can he? Flag down, right down the middle for Milo. Let's find out what this flag's all about. Milo from 42, but does it stand?
Legal formation, no end. Saskatchewan, 5-yard penalty. Repeat, third down.
So they make it even tougher on the kicker now.
Well, he's fighting some mental demons right now. I can guarantee it. Those goalposts are looking like telephone poles.
Well, he nailed it from 42 and now has to redo it 5 yards further back. Tim Brown awaiting in case he misses. But Milo's back on target. Chris Milo gets the Roughriders within 6. Under 10 left here at Mosaic. Corey Chamberlain's Roughriders try to snap a 2-game losing streak and move into a first-place tie. Mike Benavides' Lions with a win would tie the Roughriders for second. Game in the balance here with 9:56 to go in the fourth quarter. BC with a 6-point lead in the football. First down and a reverse. Sean Gore coming around. And Gore has a first down and more up near midfield at the 54.
Thomas DeMarco comes around on this reverse and tries to get involved. I think Ricky Foley kind of sees him and just basically runs over the speed bump, but he tries. He gets out there. Gotta give him A for effort. Is watch 16 just falling to left. You'll see him in a second. Comes down, tries to cut right here on Ricky Foley. Foley just, yeah, okay, I can get right over that. Slowed him down enough though.
19-yard run for Gore. 6th run of the year for Sean Gore. And there's Courtney Taylor out of the backfield. Short gain for Taylor, just nudging into Rough Rider territory.
Rough Riders seem to have calmed down the secondary a little bit. All the changes that were going on, they're still making substitutions. Jarrell Kowali came in, play linebacker, and he's getting instructions right now as to what to do.
Carlos Thomas done for the day. Like Dwight Anderson's now on the corner. Second down, DeMarco and Nick Moore in coverage with Eddie Russ. Got tangled up with Russ and hit the deck, and it falls incomplete.
I think this was just Nick Moore went down. Eddie Russ, little push as they get down, a little hand fighting, and just lost his balance, went down, and Eddie Russ continued on.
So McCallum to kick it away. His 10th punt of the game. And Tristan Jackson at the 13-yard line surrounded Adam Bighill down in a hurry. Make sure he's not going anywhere. So G-Roy Simon has matched his season high with 5 catches and 1 more for Canadian Football League history.
Looking for the 1,018th catch. It's tied Ben Cahoon. Close to 3,000 more yards than Ben Cahoon, the only player in CFL history with over 16,000 yards receiving.
From the 16, hand off to Garrett. And Chris Garrett upended at the 22-yard line. Tackle made by the 10-year veteran, Corey Banks. 6 for Garrett, 2nd and 4. Start for the Rough Riders, their deepest in their own zone in this game. Looking Well, Rob Bagg got the catch at the 25-yard line.
Was it enough? It depends on the spot of the football here.
They're going to be a yard short. Or, well, again, yes, if they put the ball right on the 25, he had to get close to the 26.
Just over the 25-yard line, and they will bring the chains out to measure this.
And if short, this might be an uncomfortable decision for Corey Chamberlain.
Well, it's inside of a yard. You think he'll go get it, especially where they are in the game, and it's inside of a yard, but it is short.
Watch the ball, sir.
This point in this, where you are on the field, makes it uncomfortable.
So Drew Willie comes into the game. Interesting pass to Bagg in that the next man in the same line of fire was number 81, and you wondered if that's the direction he was throwing in. So they need the length of the football. Big boys will hunker down. And Drew Willie with the push. Behind Dominic Picard, and they've got it.
Yep, should have it. Rob Bagg and Geroy Simon are discussing things as they walk back on the field for this new set of downs. And could this be the time for that progression? We talked about the quick game and the hitches they've been running. I just watched them from the bench all the way to the huddle. And they're not going to work together on this play.
First and 10, Durant, Taj Smith. And Smith underneath is immediately taken down, a short gain, and another passing situation upcoming. 3 for Smith, who's been the busiest receiver. And now 8 catches in the game.
Done a lot of games in Saskatchewan, and is this as quiet as I've heard it in a long time? And the importance of the game, the importance of this play, our offense out there, but even when it's BC with the ball.
Simon stays in the block. Durant overthrowing Chris Garrett. And the punt team will have to come on.
Guess who was causing problems for Durant when you talk about the accuracy of this throw? 79, Eric Taylor in the middle. Just gets a push right over Dominic Picard and drives him back, hands up, drives him back in the face of Durant. He has to throw around the pressure and just can't step in and be accurate on that throw because Chris Garrett may have had some room down the sideline.
Tim Brown up over the 45, tried to twist away and lost a few yards. And he'll be dropped at the 43. Neil Hughes, who had such a solid game last week, replacing Corey Sheets, was in on the tackle.
Now the crazy talk from Thomas DeMarco as he comes out there and talks out loud to himself is a long drive capped by a score here can seal the deal, make it a 2-possession game, and take a ton of time off the clock. Now we're going to hear the Saskatchewan crowd. Still not quite as loud as it's been in past games.
Quick toss, left side, Andrew Harris looking for an opening, and none there as he's brought down after a gain of a yard, maybe 2. Craig Butler at the bottom of the pile.
I just think this crowd may be a little nervous about this team in this situation. I mean, the Riders dropped one here. Obviously, they go to a 3-game losing streak, and there's a lot of people in Rider Nation reaching for the panic button. Half are cheering and half are kind of sitting nervously.
Well, last year there were 4- and 5-game losing streaks. Andrew Harris, 9 touches, 26 yards in the game. 2nd and 8. Pressure, down he goes, and it gets loud now.
Hold. Ricky Foley got there.
2nd of the game for the former BC Lion, Ricky Foley.
Stepped it up, working opposite end with John Chick, both in that down 4-point stance. Gets an inside move on Ben Archibald. And Thomas DeMarco had a chance to throw it in the first read, but when he went to go to his second, 95 was in his lap.
10th 2-and-out of the game. Good boot by McCallum. Sends Jackson back inside his 25. But he finds something there, and a little room up to the 37 for Tristan Jackson. Jason Araki on the tackle. Well, the primary goal is a go-ahead touchdown. Will there be a catch along the way for 81 to make history? Darian Durant with 43 attempts in the game after 49 last week. So without Corey Sheets, it's a different looking offense, isn't it?
Yeah, they went away from the run after that first quarter.
Durant with a pump. Now looks back this side, and Rob Bagg is open. And Bagg will be drilled at the 40.
It's one of the things that maybe we haven't talked about enough is the tackling by the BC Lions. Whether it be Josh Bell, in that case, I believe it was Corey Banks coming up there with Cord Parks and Ryan Phillips. But the secondary for the BC Lions, a team that has struggled on the road, and a defense that has struggled on the road. This is a defense that gave up 32 points on average on the road, 19 at home. They're playing well on the road, tackling well.
Second down, over the middle, and the pass tip was intended for one. Didn't arrive.
Yes, it was. Tried to get it there, and Karan Williams doesn't allow the football to get there, but that's exactly where Darian Durant was looking, and it was Josh Bell in coverage in the one-on-one. Stopped at the line of scrimmage, timed his jump, knocked it down.
Ricky Schmidt unloads. Brown fields at 25. Brian Peters, the tackle, as Brown gets it to the 35, a 44-yard punt. G-Roy Simon's record-setting performance on hold. Lions by 6. Nail biter to wrap up week 13. Week 14 ahead will begin with these Lions in Winnipeg. Roughriders will cap next weekend in Montreal. We'll have both of those. Look forward to those. But this final 250 will be interesting, and they've got the crowd ramped up here, but now Murray Clark is going to go to the timekeeper's bench and just make sure they've got the right time on the clock, we believe.
Well, through that break, the Rider defense, to a man, were getting the crowd involved, waving their arms up in the air. The bench was doing the same. Not necessarily the old linemen. They don't usually do that, but the rest were getting them, and this takes a little bit of the wind out of those sails. There they go again. Try and make it tough on Thomas DeMarco here.
Lions with a 6-point lead would love to use this drive to get it back to 2 scores. Oh, sidearm toss for short yardage. Sean Gore taken down quickly by Craig Butler.
Now that play happened too fast. Crowd rushed that play a little bit. Another test for a young quarterback. Handle the situation and the crowd.
4 receivers wide side, and they draw it to Andrew Harris. He's got blocking, and Andrew Harris cuts back for the first down.
Great call.
Jiro Kowali with the tackle, but Andrew Harris has his best run of the game, and the Lions have a very important first down.
Well, and one of the most gutsy and excellent calls from Jacques Chapdelaine in recent memory. It's if you're second and that long, a draw play is sometimes a surrendering play. But it works, and what a great call that was. Element of surprise there all the way.
First down, fake to Harris, and now looking up top, McMoore, jump ball, and it's incomplete. Prince Miller there to break it up.
I think DeMarco may have rushed that throw just a little bit and then underthrew the target. Nick Moore was open. You could see he's got that half step G-Roy told us about yesterday in the walkthrough. Ball a little bit underthrown. It allowed Miller to get underneath it and recover on the play.
Moore with one of the touchdown catches in the third quarter when the Lions struck twice in a span of 2 minutes and 4 seconds. DeMarco stands in, fires, and Sean Gore turned around too late, incomplete.
Give that to Eddie Russ, who was messing with them running down the seam just enough to distract Sean Gore's attention, because it looked like Thomas DeMarco wanted to throw Gore open to his outside shoulder, and just enough from Eddie Russ distracted Gore. He didn't find the football in time, and the Riders can get the football back.
Had some great finishes this weekend, haven't we?
Here we go.
Under 2 minutes to go. McCallum, end over end punt. Tristan Jackson runs up to field it, and then bubbles back and loses a few as he gets tripped up by S.J. Adera at the 30-yard line.
Now, this is a small thing. Tristan Jackson is a veteran, but take the football, get upfield. Time is as important as your field position there. Don't lose even a split second getting outside. That's a bit of a mental mistake. Still lots of time for Darian Durant.
So the Lions used only a minute 13 on their last possession. Gives Durant and company time. 97 seconds. Prior to the 2 losses, 4 comeback wins. Darian Durant swings it out. Chris Garrett will stop the clock as he steps out at the 35-yard line, so 4 for Garrett. Three-down drive for the Roughriders here if they don't make it. This offense, in all likelihood, to stay on the field. Second and 6. Taj Smith, the catch, the first down at the 47-yard line.
Ball security now. They've got to hurry up, call the play on the line, and get things rolling. Stayed in bounds. The clock does not start until the official blows it in, whistles it in.
Taj Smith now with 52 catches on the year. First and 10. Darian Durant to the sidelines and incomplete, intended for Getzlaff, watched by Josh Bell, and been a quiet game so far for Chris Getzlaff.
Yeah, I think that was a mistake. Looked like a couple receivers here. You see Taj Smith, and they had 3 receivers into the bound lane. Go ahead and run it, guys. I'm going to show you 2 of them. G-Roy Simon and Taj Smith end up right in the same spot. Stop it there. Look at that. That's too close. They need to spread things out better than that. So a mistake made in the route running here in a crucial moment.
Got overcast, and it's almost dark here at Mosaic. The lights have not come on. Second and 10. Pressure on, ball batted again, and the Lions knock it down, and it brings up third down for Saskatchewan.
Gonna see a blitz. Jabbar Westerman's gonna end up getting his hands on this. The blitz comes from Solomon Elamimian. He's gonna work himself around. He's the guy that Darian Durant steps away from.
So it comes down to this for the Roughriders. Need 10 to stay on the field and stay alive. And they draw the Lions offside.
Free play.
Durant will throw it downfield. Got Dressler, and he overthrows him by a couple of strides. Looked like he had room to run for a first down, but he did have Dressler open.
Was he over the line of scrimmage, too? There's penalty flags over there. I mean,
I thought he'd take off and get the 10, but
I think he was about 2 yards over the line of scrimmage.
So more than one penalty perhaps to sort out here.
Offside. BC number 95. Legal forward pass. Number 4 was over the line of scrimmage. Saskatchewan. We go back 5 yards. Repeat, 3rd down.
So now it's 3rd and 15.
Yeah. The 2 penalties, one is a 10-yard penalty, one a 5-yard penalty, so it's net Saskatchewan loses 5, but they get the down over the line of scrimmage. You can see right
Command
here.
Center is reviewing the previous play.
Well, the command center will review just to make sure he was over the line. That's clear.
Clearly, he was 2 yards over the line of scrimmage. If he runs it, though, he doesn't lose the 5 yards. As you mentioned, you thought he might run.
So now down to a 3rd and 15. They have to get to the line 53. And nearly offside. Pass for Bag. He has the catch, but he will be stopped short. The mark will be just inside the midfield stripe. That's a turnover on downs. But wait, there is a flag as Durant was hit late.
Major foul, roughing the passer.
Wow.
You see number 95, 15 yards at the end of the play. 1st down.
Chris Wilson flagged again, and it gives the Roughriders life.
It looked to me like Chris Wilson got his hands and arms up in the face of Durant. And that may have been the call, up in the face mask helmet area with the left hand.
He was tangled up there with Brendan Labatt. Here's Durant. Taj Smith has another catch and gets away. Taj Smith inside the 10.
Broke a tackle. The Lions have been so good all game long, tackling in the open field. But Taj Smith keeps with it, breaks one right there, and that's Dante Marsh, the best tackler in that secondary.
10th catch, he's over 100 yards, and now it's 1st and goal at the 8, and Josh Bell shaken up on the play, and the athletic therapist Bill Rochelle out to attend to him, and that means alteration in the Lions secondary, and Lynn J. Shell will have to check in. Well, they were down to a 3rd and 15, and it appeared they were stopped. And a roughing the passer penalty keeps the Roughriders' hopes alive, and now they may hold the trump card here. 1st and goal at the 8 with 43 seconds to go.
Yeah, no question. And Rob Bagg was clearly, he looked like to me he was about a half yard short of 1st down territory. Here's the roughing the passer one more time. And we don't know this for fact at this point, but the left arm in the face and around the head of Darian Durant is, I'm sure, why he got the roughing the passer call there.
So the Riders, who came up just short last week, they got the dramatic late touchdown, but needed a 2-point convert and didn't get it against the Argos. Josh Bell a little wobbly as he heads off. Now 8 yards away from tying the game and a convert to go ahead. Durant over 300 yards once again.
And this is that situation when you're talking with your buddies about, do you go here and try and score immediately and give BC some time, or try and run down a few seconds then score?
4 receivers wide side, including G-Roy Simon. Argos got to Durant with pressure. We'll see if the Lions try the same thing. Little slide, back in the end zone. Weston Dressler, touchdown!
They go after the substitution. The best defender for the Lions all game long has been Josh Bell. Josh Bell gets nicked. They get Weston Dressler on the substitution in Lynn J. Shell, and Durant goes right after it on the corner route, and Dressler's in behind him.
5th touchdown of the year for Weston Dressler, and a career-high 26th touchdown for Darian Durant. G. Roy Simon mentioned yesterday, Dressler gets all the layup touchdowns, and that was close to a layup too. So Milo for the lead. Roughriders have the lead. Still time on the clock. 22-21 Saskatchewan, but 38 seconds left for the Lions to answer.
The Lions decide to take J.R. LaRose out of the middle here down the goal line. And with no one in the middle, as I showed you earlier, Lynn J. Shell now is forced to seal the inside and allow Weston Dressler a little outside leverage on the corner. With no safety to help him, he can't play outside shoulder and hard on the coverage and the technique there. That middle's wide open. He can't leave it open, so he leaves the corner and gets a bit of an edge, and George Cortez loves that throw and catch. Now, there is time. Obviously, you score whenever you can. That's been one of those conversations you have in the bar with your buddies about, do you try and take the time off the clock before scoring? You got to score when you can. The Riders go ahead, but they've left some time on the clock for Thomas DeMarco.
What were you saying about it being quiet here?
Yeah, that just changed.
Little punch kick by Schmidt. Iannuzzi knocks it down, and we'll try and give some field position. And Marco Iannuzzi up across the 43. So they're about 20-25 yards away. Iannuzzi injured on the play, and he'll need some attention.
Doc Chapdelaine and Travis Lulay have a little more time right now with Thomas DeMarco. He's got time for 4 or 5 plays. Young quarterback, let's say 4 at best. But he also has to manage the sound. It's hard for him. It will be difficult for him to call plays on the line of scrimmage and communicate them.
Mike Benavides says he believes all teams are better prepared to handle the noise than they might have been 5-10 years ago. We'll see how DeMarco does in this critical situation.
See the Lions huddle. Everyone has to get in there tight so they can even hear him in the huddle. DeMarco may try and call 2 plays here. Just run the second one no matter what happens. On down 1.
Four-man rush. DeMarco with the pass, and it's complete on the money. Sean Gore the catch. And already very close to field goal range.
Thomas DeMarco threw this before Sean Gore came out of his break. This is a veteran throw. DeMarco lets this go. Sean Gore just breaking now. Turns around, ball arrives immediately.
Well, they need about 10 more to get into McCallum range. Longest of the year, 45. Protection again. Pass is incomplete.
Oh, baby. Tyron Brackenridge got his hand in there, tipped it up, and that was close to a pick.
Intended for Paris Jackson, and it did deflect dangerously. For a second, looked like it was available.
I'll tell you what, the young quarterback standing in there with poise in the pocket, though. He's slinging it.
Throwing fastballs. Second down over the backfield, knocked down. Andrew Harris, the intended target, but John Jeck bats it away. And it's 3rd down.
Well, you're looking at now a 57-yard field goal attempt from McCallum out of his range. I don't think the Lions have any chance or any option here but to go ahead. As you see McCallum say, wait a minute, He wanted a chance there.
Looked like McCallum thought he could do it. No wind. And now the Lions down to 3rd and 10. Pass is caught. The pass is caught at the 35-yard line. Thomas DeMarco with a strike to Courtney Taylor.
Are you kidding me? What a throw by Thomas DeMarco. He has guys in his face. He's got pressure coming at him. Stands in there. Tight coverage.
Little
both feet in bounds.
A little stumble before the ball arrived by Taylor, but a guy who's become their most reliable receiver in recent weeks.
I'll just try and get it in the middle here. I would almost be inclined to kick it on 1st down right now.
I was thinking the same thing. Your kicker thought he could make a 57-yarder. They're in range for 42.
Well, here's the other thing. If you're the BC Lions, you kick it on 1st down. If there's a bobbled snap and you recover that snap, you don't get the kick off for whatever reason, you can go ahead and try it on 2nd down. The other strategy here is to get it into the middle of the field to take a little bit of the pressure away from a hash mark kick from Paul McCallum, but I'd almost be inclined to go ahead and kick it on 1st down.
And DeMarco does get it in the middle of the field. We try to maintain close to the line of scrimmage. So Paul McCallum, who got fired up when they didn't call his number from a 57-yarder, gets a chance to win in his old stopping grounds here.
And folks, for number 16, Thomas DeMarco, this is his first start in the Canadian Football League. He'll hold right now for Paul McCallum.
Another young gun. Will he be the 15th quarterback to win a game this year? McCallum from 42 out. And Paul McCallum has drilled it to silence the fans. It's a walk-off field goal for the BC Lions and win here at Mosaic. Well, last-minute drama. First, a go-ahead touchdown for the Roughriders. And Thomas DeMarco answers to get it in Paul McCallum range. And McCallum left little doubt. So there's a tie for 2nd in the CFL West. First of 3 between these two teams. And a dramatic road win for the BC Lions. Well, a defensive struggle for most of the day and some great dramatics, including a record-tying performance for G. Roy Simon. 24-22 the final. BC, so long from Mosaic. Let's join Football Night in America.